And realistically, I mean, even when I came into Baylor, one of the things that I told Coach Norwood when I came in was that, I felt that we were a couple of players away from being great. And that's one of the things about
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Second down now. Deep strike. Got the big man. Capture. Pulls free. And touchdown. Red Raiders with a second to go.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
1st and 10 for the Oilers. Recovering that block kick. They're down to the Ram 22. Just the start of the fourth quarter. 10-3 Los Angeles. And here goes Harrell Campbell. He rocked Robertson on his back. Beautiful.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
He's going for it again. And he's got it again. Terrence Williams. What a night for Griffin.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Griffey, 23 years old, and he's been in 3 straight All-Star games.
That's well hit to left. Bonds on the run, looking up, and it is gone.
That's why.
A line drive, opposite field, home run for Ken Griffey Jr.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. Stick your head in a tank of gasoline and light it with a match. We will be joined by Southern Cal offensive coordinator, former Texas Tech star, and one of the great quarterbacks in Texas high school football history today in Graham Harrell in just a moment. Also, Hall of Famer at every level, Earl Campbell at 3:20. The news yesterday that UT will have his name and that of another Heisman Trophy winner, Ricky Williams, on the field at DK Royal Memorial Stadium. And then an hour from them, another great high school football player in Texas and a Heisman Trophy winner, and Robert Griffin III. He'll join us at 4:20. We have David Hellman on the Cowboys. We have John McClain on the NFL, and also Phil Steele, whose magazine is being sent out soon on college football, and he's had to do that under this COVID cloud. So congratulations to Sikkim 365 Radio, Baylor, Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our newest sponsor, in a big manner, big fashion, big way to join us on Sikkim 365 Radio, thanks to Cameron Kauffold and Matt Rohr and the folks at Baylor, Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Now, NFL news today. The Cowboys have a day before the Dak deadline. I don't know everyone else in the NFL, but the Chiefs, who have Patrick Mahomes under contract for a decade, they get Chris Jones, and there was some thoughts, Paul, that they didn't know if or anyone could they find a way, but they get him done for 4 years, and I guess a lot of money.
Yeah, a ton of money for Chris Jones. Had a fantastic year last year, one of the big-time defensive linemen. Another big deal, Myles Garrett, probably going to get done by the Browns as well. And the Cowboys, they're not the only ones. The Titans and Derrick Henry aren't going to probably get a deal done by tomorrow. But the Cowboys and Dak have been doing this a lot longer. So it's probably a little bit more frustrating to think, like, all these deals get done, but for some reason, Dak and the Cowboys just not going to get done.
I'm so excited that once this comes to a close, that we get to talk about this again. We get to talk about him, eventually signing that big contract. It would be kind of nice just for us to see him sign a big deal and just be done with talking about Dak and contracts for a while, because it's been going on now for well over a year. But it looks like we are going to be talking about it for a while longer. But Chris Jones, the Chiefs, for a sports year that is, quite frankly, just been a nightmare with what all has gone on with cancellations and things of that manner. I think if there's any fan base out there who's actually had a great year, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, because the last they saw their team, they were winning the Super Bowl. Now they've re-signed Patrick Mahomes. They've re-signed Chris Jones, who was a priority guy as well, and who was a guy that some thought was going to be the big signing announced last week. So, yeah, what a banner year for them so far.
By the way, Baylor today, and coaches and players and teams, football teams around the Big 12, today's the day that they started to start the once a week you could have coaching with players in groups for an hour a week. That started today. Of course, it ramps up after Big 12 virtual media days next Monday and Tuesday, and then whoever and whatever happens with the calendar based on COVID after that. We're now joined by Southern Cal offensive coordinator, former Texas high school football star and Texas Tech quarterback Graham Harrell, with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and David Smoke. Graham, it's great to hear from you. Thanks for being a part of the show. How has all of this, the shutdown or the delays, the suspension, how has that affected you at USC?
I think it's affected us a lot, obviously. Throughout the spring, you miss spring ball, you miss spring recruiting. You're doing everything virtually. Even as a staff there for about 3 or 4 months, we actually just got allowed back into the office last week. So we've only been back in the office for a week. Our kids are still in a voluntary time because of, with the Pac-12 go to conference only schedule, it pushed our voluntary time back. So there's been a lot of effects, but I think the toughest part about it all really is just the unknown, and if there were answers or something like that, I think it'd be a lot easier, but because every day the unknown kind of messes with you. But again, all we can do is control what we control and try to be the best prepared that we can be when we get a schedule and when we get to play ball.
Is it difficult now motivating the kids to work out, knowing that because it's unknown that they may have to stop and start a few times, or are they just raring to go?
Our kids are chomping at the bit, which I was glad to see. They're allowed to come up here and lift on a voluntary basis, but like I said, they were anxious to get back, and so as soon as they could, we got the majority of them back. And because I think they had so much time off, and as a college athlete, you usually don't get that kind of time off, and so missing spring ball and having time off, and I think being away makes you appreciate so much more the fact that you get to go work out and you get the opportunity to lift weights and be around your guys. And so first opportunity that they had, they were ready to go. They're working hard, and hopefully we get to work with them before too long.
Graham, what's been your experience with, having these Zoom meetings and trying to teach over that? I mean, you do have the benefit that you're back where you were last year, so it's not like you're having to teach things entirely from scratch. So I would imagine that helps quite a bit. But how hard is it to teach over Zoom and know that the players are also taking in the information you're trying to share with them?
I think it definitely changes things. Missing spring ball, I've always said this. I don't think there's anything that can replace live reps, and I think that's how you get better the quickest is through experience and through doing it out there on the field and standing behind center and actually getting those reps. The one thing that I do think that we were able to do a ton of, and being at the same place, like you mentioned, helps, because I couldn't imagine putting in a new system because you don't have the common. You're not speaking the common language with the quarterback yet. You're not. You don't have that basis of understanding with each other. So because we were at the same place, we were able to watch a ton of cut-ups over Zoom, and we could watch tape and really break down, hey, this is really what I'm thinking. And I think that that's the most important thing is if a quarterback and a play caller or offensive coordinator, whoever, if they can kind of see the same thing pre-snap and throughout a play, then you have a chance to be successful. And I think that we were able to get a ton of that done as far as, hey, this is the view that I'm getting. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm calling this. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I think that you can see from your position. And so more than anything, I think that what we're trying to accomplish is make sure that we see that, me and the quarterback see the game the same. And if you do that, I think you get a step up. But again, I don't think anything can replace the reps that we lost in spring ball.
Graham, you've obviously enjoyed success where you were at Ennis High School, where you were at Texas Tech, and right now you're someone that a lot of people know all about in the coaching profession as well. How were you able to juggle so many wanting you, colleges, professional teams during the offseason, and keep everything, kind of down to earth and humble?
I think a lot of it has to do with the people I have around me, which I have good people around me, and I try to surround myself with good people. And so, I think that obviously helps. And the other thing is just keep things in perspective. And I tell everyone, at North Texas, we won a lot of football games and did a lot of great things. And, you kind of go unnoticed, and not really many people think you're doing that good of a job. And I tell you, it's a lot harder to score points at North Texas than it is in Southern California with the talent you have out here, So, I think that's the most important thing. Just remember that, remember who you are and why you're in the profession, and try to figure out the best situation to further your purpose and have a chance to. Obviously, you want a chance to win football games and do stuff like that, but you also have a chance to be around great young men and influence young men in an influenceable age, and have an impact on their life. And so, to me, it comes down to where can you do that the most effectively, and where can your family be happy, where can you be happy, and where can you have an influence on young men. And being right here, there were a lot of great options and there's a lot of great places out there, but just for where we are right now with my family, this was the best opportunity and what we thought was the best place for us. And I'm excited. Like I said, if we get the opportunity to play, I think we have a chance to be a really, really good football team. And so we're excited about the upcoming season.
If you could put all the coaches that affected you in your life in a pantry where people I can get a little bit of of your dad or Mike Leach or wherever you've been all over the place. For a guy who's only 35, it's been a whole lot. Do you think of it? Do you ever sit back and think, like, in your 35 years around football, how much great coaching you've been around?
It's crazy. I don't ever really sit and think about it until someone will ask a question like you just did, or even normal conversation, just kind of talk about, well, hey, when you were at Tech, what was going on, or whatever the case. And like you said, my dad probably has as big of an influence as anyone on me, and he always seemed to have great people around him, and I have the luxury of having great coaches there in Ennis. But if you look at that Texas Tech staff, all the guys that were on that staff, you know what I mean, and there's probably 5, 6, 7, 8 head coaches off of that one staff when I was at Texas Tech, and really good ones. And then at Green Bay, Coach McCarthy was great. Ben McAdoo was great. Tom Clements, Joe Philbin. Like you said, I've been touched by a lot of great coaches, and that doesn't go unnoticed. And to be honest with you, I think that's the reason that I've been able to be successful. Is I've been fortunate and been in good places around good people. And then Seth Luttrell at North Texas was as good as anyone I've ever been around. So, like you said, I think that all those people have played really a larger role than probably I went through. I would admit, or even they would admit, in getting me to where I am. And I've been fortunate from that standpoint, for sure.
Graham, being a part of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, I do the stats for it each week. So I go over every box score across D1 football, looking for players from the state of Texas on offense and what they did. And while you were at North Texas, every week there was a running back, your quarterback, your wide receivers. The offensive output was ridiculous. And the town of Denton came alive. They hadn't seen that kind of success in a long time. What was it like to be a part of, being at a smaller school like that and kind of reviving the program and bringing the fan base to their feet?
I've been a part of a lot of great teams and good programs. And like I said, most of the places I was, in it, they expected to win. That's just what we did. At Texas Tech, that had become the standard. We expected to win and do good things. At Green Bay, obviously a franchise that's won as much as anyone. Again, they expect to win. But when I got to North Texas, it was a totally different place as far as it had been a long time since they've been successful. And coming off a really frustrating year, and we didn't have necessarily the most talented team in the world coming back. But that was probably one of the 3 of the most fun years I've ever had in my life. But in coaching, for sure, just kind of, like you said, just changing an entire culture, changing an entire program, and the town kind of feeding off that, the university feeding off that, and it becoming, it became a much cooler place to be. I remember when I first got there, I got there in January, and they came off on a 1-11 season, and I'm calling the people that are committed to FCS schools or smaller schools. Hey, this is Graham Harrell from North Texas, just calling to kind of see if you'd be interested. And they were saying, I'm good, coach.
Yeah.
Man, you don't have many options. That's a bold move.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of what the program was. And then Coach Luttrell really deserves a ton of credit because he came in with the mentality, and he built a culture of accountability. And we had success early on, probably more success than we deserved. Getting to a bowl game that first year with a really untalented football team. I mean, we weren't the most talented team at all. But to get to a bowl game, it just made them believe. And we played a lot of young guys that probably weren't ready to play, but they got a ton of experience. And it just changed the entire program. And towards the end of our time there, we had back-to-back 9-win seasons. We played in the conference championship, and Mason Fine rewrote every school record there was and had a ton of success. And in recruiting, it was just such a different look when you walked into a school compared to when we first got there. And so that was a cool thing and a fun thing to be a part of. And like I said, Coach Luttrell coming in there and just completely flipping that culture. It was a really, really fun 3 years to be a part of.
Today, Davey O'Brien released their list, their watch list. All of them start tomorrow. Bolitnikoff, Davey O'Brien, all these things that happen. Your quarterback, Slovis, is on that list. Baylor's Charlie Brewer, who is a senior this year, is on that list. Tell us about your sophomore in Slovis. He seems to be very, very, very good.
Yeah, I would. You say very, very good, and I'd almost say that's an understatement. He's as special as I've ever been around, especially for a true freshman. And I think he graduated that semester and he didn't turn 18 until April of last year. And so he came in and he's gone through spring ball as a 17-year-old, should be high school senior. And from the first few practices, you could tell the kid's special. He's different. He's very talented. But when I really knew we had something special was the way, to step into the huddle at SC, you got a lot of big-time recruits and big-time guys. You got a guy that's projected to be a first, second rounder, Michael Pittman. You got Almond St. Brown, Tyler Vaughn, a ton of experience, a ton of guys. And he steps in there as a 17-year-old true freshman and just takes control of that huddle. And he doesn't mind telling them, he's not rude to him, but, hey, get over here. You're supposed to be over there, whatever the case may be. And for a true freshman to have that kind of confidence when he stepped in there, you knew you had something different. And then, the more games he played, just the better and better he got. And I think the second half of the season, if you really watch his tape, I would like to see someone tell me a quarterback that played better football than he did. He played at an extremely high level, and really to be that young and be as disciplined as he was with going through his reads and taking the proper footwork and just doing things right. It was shocking and it was awesome to see. And I've never been around someone like him. He has Mason Fine was really special, but when people looked at Mason Fine, they didn't think he belonged. This kid has what it's supposed to look like. He's big. He has a big arm. He's talented, but he's still very humble. He works extremely hard. He understands the game of football. If he doesn't win a lot of awards and be a really high draft pick, then I did a poor job, to be honest with you.
Graham, who did you name your son Herschel after?
Well, I named him after Triple H, the wrestler. Obviously, Herschel doesn't fit that, but his name's Herschel Hawk Harrell. And so, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and if you're a wrestling fan, especially around my age, you had to be a DX fan, in my opinion, and you can't be a DX fan without being a Triple H fan. So that being the case, I've got the one H that you can't pick. Yeah, I got the last name that starts with an H. So I always said if I have a boy, I'm going to name him Triple H. And I threw that out to my wife, thinking there's no way in hell she's going for this. And she kind of said okay the first time, and from that point on, it was a commitment. You know what I mean? Like, there's no going back to that point. And it was a done deal.
Yeah, so Brittany had to give her, she had to, who we've known since she was an ankle biter, since she was a young kid. So she had to give the blessing, though. She said, okay. Because I
said I'm going to name him Triple H. Now, Brittany grew up in a house of 3 girls, as you know, and she didn't even know wrestling existed. So I think I probably threw out, I'm going to name him Triple H, and she had no idea why, or she probably just thought that was something ridiculous thing I said. She didn't know it was being named after a wrestler until she agreed to it, and then everyone started you're going to name your son after a wrestler, and then she kind of started trying to backtrack a little bit. But like I said, once you commit, it's a commitment. It's too late,
Well, Graham, it's good you went with Triple H rather than X-Pac or Road Dogg. I don't think that would have flown the same way.
No doubt.
Yeah. Now,
no doubt.
Your dad's back at Ennis. We understand what he's accomplished and what he's overcome. Your brother, Zach, is at Athens. Clark is at New Diana. He's part of the New Diana Eagles. It's spread everywhere. How and what did you learn about life with how your father showed resiliency and what he's overcome?
I think that was probably for the entire family the toughest thing we've ever been through. Probably the most rewarding thing we've ever been through on the back end of it, and I can remember when he had to retire from coaching. That was a hard time for all of us, particularly him. But, as a kid, especially when your dad's a football coach and you love football and you're always around him, you think your dad's almost like a superhero, and so to see him basically be crippled and not be able to walk and not be able to get around and have to retire from what he loved and be really frustrated in the process, it affects you as well. And I think it affects the whole family. And then, like you said, to be able to overcome that and never lose hope in it. And I think that everyone except him did lose hope in it, if we're all being honest, my mom included, because he went down to Panama twice and got stem cell treatment. Saw a little bit of improvement, then went right back to bad. And then he wanted to go again. And everyone said, you're wasting your time and your money. And then we've already tried this. And his attitude was, no, what do I have to lose? Here in America, they're not saying they're going to ever reverse symptoms. They're saying there's hope. I'm not ever going to quit hoping or quit trying. And so he went the third time and it took, and he's never looked back. It started to reverse the symptoms slowly. And now, he still says he has MS. He doesn't have the symptoms of MS. So he moves around like a healthy 60-year-old man. And so to see just the way that he attacked that and never gave up hope and kept faith was an incredible thing to see as a son. And I think it taught us all lessons. And I think that, like I said, as a family, it was probably the toughest test that any of us had ever, or the toughest thing any of us had ever gone through. And then when he came out better than that, it's probably the most rewarding thing. And we've had, we've been a fortunate family, had a lot of great things with kids and with our jobs and with sports and winning a lot of games and stuff like that. But to see your dad get his health back and be able to do what he loves to do again was more rewarding than any of that. So, I think that was probably the coolest thing we've ever been a part of.
I can imagine. We have one more question. That Southern Cal's a blue blood. It's a blue blood college football program. It's part of the country club, so to speak. And it's been a tough 10 or 15 years. Is it time? Do you feel like you guys are back on the edge of joining what people expect the standard at Southern Cal?
That's our expectations, and that's always going to be our expectations. And that's the great thing, about being at Southern California is the expectation is to win, and not just win, but win at a really, really high level. And that's why you get into this profession. And so, like you said, for the last 2 years, it probably they haven't won at the level they should, or that's expected of this program. And we think we have a really, really talented team. And like I said, especially towards the end of last season, we really started to come on and play good football. And we won a football season because we think we have a chance to be a special football team and put Southern Cal back into the category that belongs. Like you said, it's a blue blood, and I tell everyone it's the best job in the country now that I've been here. It's an incredible job, a great place to live. The history and just the location of it is second to none. And like I said, I think we have a chance to be really, really special, to get the opportunity to play and kind of get SC back to where it belongs.
Graham, thank you for your time. We appreciate it so much. Tell Brittany we said hi.
Yeah.
Craig's known her forever.
Yeah.
Jennifer, obviously the Smoke family. Appreciate your time, buddy. Graham Harrell,
anytime.
Offensive coordinator at Southern Cal, record-breaking quarterback at Ennis, won a state championship. His father was the head coach. His brothers are in coaching. And Earl Campbell follows Graham Harrell next on Sikkim 365 Radio. If you want to build something with metal and or steel or pipe and everything else in between, you want something that's gonna take being delivered to you, because everything it takes to build a metal building or something larger or a huge fence or something, it's going to be delivered to you and then unloaded to you because of the great people and the customer service at Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Locations in Waco and Bryan. Since 1943, 77 years of existence, but not just surviving, winning, building, and continually getting better and better because their product and what they know about the business, what they know about bids when it comes to metal buildings will make it easier and better for you. Open on Saturdays if you can't get there during the week from 8 until noon. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, Monday through Friday, right there for you. And they have other news coming up that they will get bigger, better, faster, stronger, like an athlete in the offseason. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys. Pioneer Boys with locations in Waco and Bryan. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasoning, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace. Doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
1st and 10 for the Oilers. They're covering that block kick. They're down to the Rand 22. Just the start of the fourth quarter. 10-3 Los Angeles. And here goes Earl Campbell. He knocked Robertson on his back. Beautiful.
The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
You know, the great thing about when you have Earl Campbell on is you have Earl Campbell on. And we've had him on many, many times over the years, and there's never a shortage of highlights at any level because he's been a Hall of Famer at every level. High school at John Tyler, Texas, University of Texas, and then, of course, with the Oilers as well. And Earl Campbell, the Tyler Rose, the great, the legend, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. How emotional was yesterday for you when Texas told you that your name and Ricky Williams' name would be on their field?
Well, I don't know, man. I started thinking about, growing up in Tyler, Texas, 18-year-old kid chasing a dream, came to the University of Texas, met different people, and all kinds of things flew my mind. And my mom telling me, "You do what you want to do. I cannot go to school for you. You're gonna have to do this. You go to school. You got to make it." It was just unbelievable things. And when I came here, it was a guy named Louis Murillo, and Louis must be about 80-something years old now. And there was a guy named Gabe. Louis worked for 7-Eleven, and Gabe owned the list. You remember CB's? He used to do the guys CB's, and now he owns a company called Twins Liquor. But those kind of things crossed my mind because those was people that was in my corner, and we was all trying to make it at the same time.
Earl, you've told us your story many times about how you dealt with racism and when people would call you slurs and the way that you responded to them with love and affection and compassion to teach them as opposed to lashing out at them. To have your story and then this a part of that change, what did that also mean to you that your struggle, that your story meant that much to those athletes at Texas as well?
I tell you what, when I tell people that when I came to this school, I heard all the other stuff. I even heard about how racist Dale Royer was from some of my people in Tyler, Texas. But I put in my mind as an 18-year-old kid that I'm going to show him that I want to be respected. And then I'm going to show him that I respect him. And that's the way I live my life. And I tell guys, I'm going to respect you and you're going to respect my territory. And, I don't know. I just never bullcorn people. I let them know right up front what I'm about, and they bite into it or you don't. But I do respect you. And when I decide to live my life like that, and just people start seeing that, and they know that I wasn't no side or left, but it was difficult to try to do something in life that you loved as an athlete. Football was my love, and then I didn't understand, why do I have to put up with this being called this? But I mean, I don't know that person. Unfortunately, he don't know me, and he doesn't know what I'm about, and I just kept going,
Earl, a lot of the UT athletes came together a couple of weeks ago and put forward their list of requests or demands for things they would like to see changed on campus. And obviously, you being a part of that name change is one of the many things that they had requested. But just how proud were you, and what were your thoughts on the University of Texas athletes, in particular their black athletes, coming together and telling the school basically, what they wanted to be done, and what are your thoughts on, just Texas responding in the way that they have?
I think it takes somebody to take when you come to this university, you learn real quick about what it's about. And one of the things it's about is it says what happened at this university changed the world, because it's some people that comes through this university that have been in those situations. And now you are in some of those situations. And I think by our athletes coming up saying some of the things that they wanted to see change, I think that was respectful. And then I think for Texas to up and do what they did yesterday, and the Jamel family asking them to do something like this, I think it goes and shows not only the state of Texas, but the whole United States, that we want to try to do something about what was done in those past 400 or how many every years. And we can't do nothing about what done happened. But we want to put our focus on what's going forward. And I think if you spend all the time worrying about what happened in those past 400 years, you're not going to get a damn thing accomplished about the future. And I think that's what we're working on now, is about what's going on in the future. And I think that university is telling our young men and our students that we hear you. This is what we're going to do first. And let's don't count. Let's start trying to work on letting you see what we want to do for the future.
You can't erase the history, as you mentioned, 400 years, whatever it might be, whatever amount of years you want to go back. Is that the suggestion you also would make, is, listen, there's a lot of bad things that happen, but we have to focus on today, tomorrow, and the future, and stop looking back so much at what we were?
I'm telling you, that's what my focus is, and I was part of that 400 years. And there's some things that happened back there. We know we on both sides. On any side of the ball you want to look, and I know you think a ball is round, but if you look long enough, you're gonna find a side of it. Whichever way you turn that ball, you're gonna find that it was some wrong done on all sides of that ball. Think about what I'm saying. But let's do something about the future. Let's don't keep concentrating on the past. I mean, that's done. And if you keep messing with the past, you are not going to get something done for the future.
Earl, it was, I think, 15 years ago. I drove down to Austin, Texas. You were living at the time in Westlake. And sat down with you upstairs in your bedroom and did a lengthy interview for what was basically 2 hours, uninterrupted, unedited, and you were unplugged, so to speak. That's also the interview when I asked you the question about why hasn't the city of Tyler or anyone recognized you like some cities in Texas do when you drive through the entrance into a city, the home, Sealy of Eric Dickerson, etc. Back then, you told me, and I said this yesterday when Texas wants to put your name on the field. They have the statue, you have the award, you have the parkway, etc. But you told me that you didn't want anything to happen if you were gone, and you told your family that. What can you kind of go back and describe that conversation you had with your brothers and sisters about that?
Well, I most of my two boys, because we talk a lot. Not that my other family and I don't talk, but I spend most of my years around the family I have now, and I try to concentrate on what's happening now. And I even let them. They heard me say it so much. When I'm gone, that's not time enough for me to appreciate my flowers. I think we should do that when Dad's alive, so he can enjoy them and smell them. And yesterday, that's what Ricky Williams was talking about. But that name is going to be there way after we gone. And if we the good Lord be on our side, Ricky and myself, we are able to see the flowers of the university. And we're going to watch young men run on that field and bands play on that field and people do things well. That we will be able to see that, because that's saying that, boy, we try to do something right in life. Look at those kids, they're having fun. And by doing this and saying that, will make younger people and make people in life change the way they're thinking about, hey, let's try this. Let's see if we can do this. Maybe if we do it, maybe my name won't be on the field, but maybe my son or my kid or in the future can say, I went there, I did that, I experienced that. We need to try to start making it better for the future. And that's what I was talking about. I want to be able to smell my flowers and give them to me when I'm gone. That's fine, but let me see some of it while I'm here.
Have you gotten to talk to Ricky much about this and at all?
Yes, man. Ricky did a lengthy interview yesterday, and, we hadn't seen each other since this happened. But Ricky and I both knew about this a little bit because the Jamel family, Ricky and I are very close to his boys. And Joe and Ricky and his three sons and I was very close. So yesterday I told Ricky, I said, hey, brother, congratulations. He said, yeah, congratulations. So we had a chance to talk, but we found out about this one day. Joe Jamel's oldest son called me when they was playing the Byron Nelson. I never should forget that Sunday. And he told me, he said, Earl, what are you doing? I told him what I was doing, just sitting in my house watching golf, and I had nothing else to do. He says, listen, I want you to think about something, because my brothers and I, Dar was saying, Rob and Dar, and they had took this vote, and we want to talk to you about something. I said, yeah, what's that? He said, well, we want to think about renaming that field down there. It's named after Dad. We want to put you, and we're going to call Ricky and see if we can get him to agree with that. So we kind of knew it was in the works, and they was going to ask the board to vote about it. So yesterday when I called Ricky, the first time we even spoke about it, I said, hey, brother, congratulations. He said, yeah, congratulations. So it was the public was finding out, but we kind of knew it. We wasn't sure if it was going to pass. And, he just like myself, really elated. And I don't think you really know how you're going to feel, or really, you can just dream in your heart how you feel in your mind. But until you get there tomorrow, that field where you used to run and looking at those young men that they're going to break the news to, I'm sure they already know it, but they see you in person, then tomorrow starts a new future for not only America, not only for the state of Texas, but a bunch of young people we have at university right now playing sports when we see them tomorrow.
Earl, on the topic of renaming, you and I share the hometown of Tyler. I went to Lee, as did my sister did as well, and you went to John Tyler, obviously, and many members of your family. They are in the midst right now of going over the renaming of the high schools. I know there's a press conference, I believe, or a meeting of some sort tomorrow, and I know that they've also leaned on you and gotten your thoughts and opinions as well. You're in favor of the changing of the name of both schools, which it looks like it'll probably be both or none, and I can't imagine they're not going to change in some way. Can you just describe?
When I went to Tyler, but I got tired of being locked up here at home, and I told my wife, I got to get out of here. I'm going home. So I went down to Tyler, and I basically didn't do nothing but just run around a little bit in my hot rod truck and just, sit at the car wash. I got one buddy on the headphone car wash, and I sit there and we talk, but just sitting on the back patio and the superintendent and I started talking about this, and I told him, I said, when we first started talking, it's a young lady, Trudy, up there, Robert E. Lee, the track star, is trying to get, she spoke out about Robert E. Lee, so I was holding my cool. I've been wanting to do it for about 3-4 years, but I didn't, and I said, I'm going to Tyler. I'm going to call the superintendent, tell him what's on my mind, so before I left, him and I had a conversation, and what shocked me about that conversation was, he says, yeah. I says, yeah, Earl, I want to talk to you about the situation. Well, Earl, listen, we're in the process of doing something at Robert E. Lee. I said, no, we're talking about both of them. He said, you mean John Tyler too? I said, yeah, and I believe that he was elated that I said John Tyler because he thought I was still concerned about all those records over there from high school. I said, no, sir, we need to work on getting both of those names changed. And I think when I said that, he started feeling different, that he was really talking to a real man. I don't know what he's heard, but since then, him and I have talked about 6 times, and it's just time for a change. And I think when I started that conversation about changing both of them, I just believe that enlightened his heart and his mind, because I was talking about doing something where I went to school, where I have records, and everybody knows Robert E. Lee, but nobody knows a little about John Tyler. The name there is a problem too, just like Robert E. Lee, and I think I enlightened him when I said, let's do both of them. And that's the problem they're going to be working on tomorrow. And the young lady over there, her mother's white, she's black, but she's a great athlete. She's a great, great track star for Robert E. Lee. And she started it because she doesn't want to wear Robert E. Lee on her jersey no more, but track shirt or whatever. And then some other players got involved, and then some other kids started talking. So I'm just booking and praying that tomorrow or when they vote on this, that we're going to be a different city. Believe me, It's about change. It's about going forward. And that's what we're trying to do in America, is to go forward. And I don't think it's no better 2 places to lead the state of Texas than Tyler, Texas, and Austin, Texas, and the University of Texas getting this done.
Earl, I can't imagine anyone who's ever actually spent time with you. And I'm not saying this because I've known you for as long as I have, or we've sat down and had discussion, and even your mom's great cheeseburgers. But I can't imagine anyone who's ever spent any amount of time with you talking with you would ever not realize you're a real man. That you, I mean, because you're right, Craig, and I have discussed the John Tyler and Robert E. Lee, and that it was it's Lee, and here you are.
Yeah.
I mean, 1973 state championship, all the things, a family, and yet you do see that it's not only just one tunnel or one canal. It's everything needs to be looked at.
See, it's not what a human being or a man does in a year or years. It's what a human being did in a lifetime. And that's what we're in this situation we're in, of changing and taking down trophies and renaming and doing this, because we got a lifetime of, think about the amount of people that have been down here on this earth, this 400 years or however long, and they've gone on. But we are here and we are able to experience about what has happened, and we're here now living to be involved in the change, and that's the thing that you got to get done. And people that meet me, I think because athletics, we Americans or whatever, some people really are hung up on those statistics and what they did. I mean, it's too late for me to try to sit down and tell Christian or tell Messiah, my grandson, or Cheyenne, my granddaughter. They're 7 and 3 years old, so it's too late for me to tell them about what I did. It's about convincing and telling them what we're going to do, because now it's time for their memories. And it's time to start building stuff up on the future, and I keep preaching that, and that's what I'm selling, and that's because I believe in that. And when I sit down and talk with somebody, and I've even had guys I play football with, that I play with the Oilers. Some of them tell me, man, I really didn't think you could talk. I really didn't think you could, because I never really said much. Until you put me up in a corner, you sit me down and you really talk to me. And a lot of people hear my voice today and they may not believe in what I'm saying, but you sit down and you talk to me and you get me. I think a lot of people just get me mixed up because maybe I walk around in T-shirt, no socks, no shoes. That's how I dress every day. And I mean, maybe that starts it, but most people think I'm all wrapped up in something different. No, I'm not. I'm just one trying to live a happy life and help somebody along the way. And I've always felt that way. And maybe all that came from, I believe, because my mom and dad lived in that little 3-bedroom house out in Tyler and had 11 kids. And I mean, it was all about teamwork. It was all about doing something to make somebody else happy in the family. And once you do that, you don't have a chance to concentrate on yourself. And you find if you wake up every day and say, Lord, help me to help somebody, that gets you out of being concerned about you. I tell you, I'm a member of AA, and I'm not ashamed of that, of Alcohol Anonymous. And I was talking to a young man Sunday because he had some problems. And he said, Earl? I said, yeah, dude. He says, I'm going to tell you something, man. I messed up last night. I told you that a while ago, but you act like you didn't hear me. I said, yeah, I heard you say you messed up, but that's last night. You got to do something about tonight. That's how it is. Yeah. The future is what's important,
It's amazing. Earl, if you don't mind, I have a question from our one of the listeners. That when Darrell Royal first came to visit you, that when he walked through the door, did your mother apologize to him because of your house? And he said, hey, don't apologize. I grew up under circumstances that were similar. Is that a true story?
My mother says, well, how you doing? I think it's their coach or something like that. She says, but I want to tell you, Coach, I'm so embarrassed about my house. He says, oh, Ann, don't be embarrassed about your house. I grew up in Oklahoma in the dust storm, baby. I know all about this. And my mother said, what? He said, this is really great compared to what I had growing up. and that just started a whole conversation. I remember it like yesterday.
Mm-hmm. I had
believe it or not, those Campbells, and I know where I got it from, because when my dad was living and had those 11 kids, I was only in the 5th grade when Dad died, but I remember that everything he did was like, we're in this situation. They may have this, but this is what we got, and we're going to be the best because I drive used cars, or we live in this little shack, I think, back then. But don't worry, it's the best we got, and we're going to live like we was living like high cotton in that little 3-bedroom house. And when my dad died, my mother picked up right where he left off and said, this is the way it's going to be, and this is the way it is. And I mean, it just went down through generation and generation. That's why when I hear people talking about, it's not a man in the house, it's not this in the house, it's not that. But it's not about that. It's about what you got to do, what you going to do about it.
Absolutely. 15 years ago, there was no Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. There was no Campbell Parkway. There was no bronze statue outside of DK Royal Memorial Stadium. There was no Earl Campbell Field at is now Rose Stadium. And there was no Earl Campbell Field at what will be with Ricky Williams at DK Royal Memorial Stadium. I think that in itself says everything it needs to say about Earl Campbell.
They show you we changed, we came a long ways, and that's what we're after in this world.
Yep.
In order to make this, and I'm not going to just sugarcoat it, I tell you like it is. In order to make the blacks feel better, in order to make the whites feel better, we've been traveling on this line and in between, afraid to make a move to do the right thing instead of just falling in line. We got to have some people step over that line now and get out of their comfort zone, and let's just do the right thing. And that way, it won't be these lines that go to the left or to the right or to the middle. If you do the right thing, it's just going to all work out. Because that's what my mother told us. Earl, Tyler, Willie, Herbert, I'm telling y'all, be on just that side of right. And my son Tyler said his grandmother told him, Tyler, as long as you're on that side of right, you never have to worry. And we're getting on that side of right. That's why those trophies, and that's why that street, and that's why that football field is doing this. And I don't think of no better time for this to happen. Unfortunately, some people had to lose their lives for us to get to this point. And some people made some mistake in getting us to this point. But one thing about our Lord Jesus Christ, he don't make no mistakes, brother. Everything happens for a reason. And we begin to see that now. Now what we got to do is stop making those lines and get in the middle and start doing the right thing.
You could have interviewed with a lot of different people today, and I know you've had a few since yesterday and over the years, but we appreciate you anytime we can have you on, my friend. We appreciate you, Earl. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Hey, thank you. But I want to say this, and I want these two people to never, ever forget what they did for me in their lifetime. It's a man named Louis Marvillo. He was working for 7-Eleven when I came in this town. It's a guy named Gabe. I didn't know where Lebanon, I never heard of that place. But I got to know Gabe, so I got to know who Lebanon, I got to know where it was, pointing that direction. But those two guys did more for me in my life. And we didn't even know each other when I came to Austin. Louis is 80-something years old. Gabe is like 70-something now. And he owns a company called Twins Liquor. Those two guys did so much for me in my life, I'd never forget it. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. That's Earl Campbell, Pro Football Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer. Everyone knows High School Football Hall of Famer. And, I'm not so-called a UT fan, and they've haunted my favorite college football team. But I do know this. It was a miserable day for me back in 1977 when in the Cotton Bowl Notre Dame beat them. I loved Earl Campbell as a player. I really didn't get a chance to meet him until later and get to know him the last 20 years. And appreciate his time.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful stuff there from Earl, and he is just the coolest guy. Been fortunate to know him for a really long time now, not nearly the way that you know him, obviously, or even my mother Cindy does, but yeah, he was just tremendous here over the last 20 minutes or so, and I don't know, I'm getting ready to tweet it out, but man, if y'all missed our first hour, Graham, Harrell, and Earl were both
and we have RG3 at 420.
RG3.
Yeah.
So we had 2 Heisman Trophy winners today.
And I know we're out of time, and I know we have a break, and I know that we've gone longer than, but I don't care. Honestly, don't. We'll figure it out. But I want you to say it again in Cliff Notes, what you said about Earl when it comes to nobody who has ever met him has ever disliked him.
No, you can't. He is A&M fans, Oklahoma fans, you name it. He's the exception to the rule. I don't like the people who wear burnt orange. You can't. He's too important to the sport of football, to more than football, to the state of Texas, and anything. You cannot dislike Earl Campbell. You cannot do it. He is too legendary.
And if you have time to sit down with him, and we've been very fortunate, and I don't know why I was so fortunate, and then eventually all of us, you will understand what we're saying, and even if you just listen to him on the show. When we come back, we'll wrap up. In fact, we'll wrap it up this 3 o'clock hour. 4 o'clock hour, Phil Steele. He's got that annual college football magazine that is loaded with information, and he's had to do this under all of these circumstances. And then RG3, Sikkim 365 Radio.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Ncaa. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
After this play, Alabama will use their timeout if they don't score, that is, LSU.
Edwards-Helaire. They will score. Touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. RG3 in the next segment. We've heard from Graham Harrell, Southern Cal offensive coordinator, former Tech and high school grade at Ennis, and my goodness, we have to at some point this week redo and replay what we heard from the great Earl Campbell on many things, who's now a part of the field at DK Royal Memorial Stadium. Phil Steele. This guy's a legend when it comes to college football, the magazines he's produced over the years, and this year as much of a challenge as ever before. It's great to have him on the show. With Craig and Paul, I'm David Smoke. Phil Steele, Phil Steele's magazine, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. How have you been able to get sleep at night?
It was a long off season. Normally, a magazine season takes 6 months. We finish it up the end of May. This year, with the entire staff the office was shut down for 2 months, so I was in here by myself for a good 2 months, and we finally got it rolling back up again. As opposed to the end of May, we sent it out the start of July, so later than usual, but we did catch up on all those late transfers, and with the transfer portal action, I think it keeps us really up to date.
When it comes to adding and getting and compiling and analyzing all of what you do, which is broken down into everything you could imagine, was it harder or was it easier because people didn't have anything else to do to make sure they gave you what you needed?
I did talk to more coaches. Last year I talked to a little over 100 coaches, I would say. This year I talked to a little over 110 coaches out there. So they seem to have a little more time on their hands. My coaches' calls generally take about an hour, and some coaches were very giving, gave me like an hour and a half, go over every player on the team, strengths, weaknesses, things like that. So I actually did talk to more coaches this year because, frankly, they were just sitting around waiting.
How hard was it to get some of the information you normally would get, though, because you have spring football, and at most, I think you collectively around the country, there was probably 17 total spring football practices.
Yeah, it was a major concern of mine was what the coaches were missing out on by not having spring ball, but the majority of them are like a head coach and next man in type of thing. And they're like, you know what? We only had 2 spring practices, but big deal. We'll get over it. We had the entire off season with the team, getting them ready for the year. The thing we missed out on was maybe developing the younger players in the spring. That's who it might have hurt the most would be the younger players that were trying to step up in the spring and maybe take a starting job. But I think for the most part, the coaches did pretty well with it. And then, as mentioned, I got a lot of information from the coaches this year.
Well, what was it like talking to Dave Aranda, a guy who's in the position of head coach for the very first time, did not have spring ball, all that's going on with his first few months on the job? How were those conversations?
It went pretty good for a first-year head coach. There was maybe 1 or 2 first-year head coaches out there that were like, well, I don't really know too much about the team or anything like that. And, I got the information that they were willing to give. But with Coach Aranda, He had a pretty good feel for the team, gave me good information on all the players on the team, even though he hadn't seen them in a spring practice. And I told Coach Aranda, I first noticed him back in 2014 when he was with Wisconsin as a defensive coordinator. And that year, Wisconsin had like 2 returning starters on defense, and I expected a big drop-off from them defensively, and there was no drop-off. They were just as good as they were the previous year. And I'm like, who is that defensive coordinator? And I got to know him then, and I think that was a big move up. So I think he might do better than expected, even though he's stepping into a really tough situation taking over this Baylor team this year.
With Baylor losing 250-plus starts from their defense, there still seems to be, because of Terrell Bernard, among others, players that last year played quite a bit. Bernard comes in and replaces the leading tackler in Clay Johnston. When you look at their defense and because of his mentality, what do you see, Phil, as far as what they can accomplish?
2 returning starters on defense, losing all the guys they did. You wouldn't necessarily think that much, but once again, Coach Aranda has done things. And I like the fact they added a guy like William Bradley King from Arkansas State. He's a guy who Arkansas State's head coach was a little distraught over the fact that he lost him. 8.5 sacks last year. I think he can come in, step into that jack position and do well. You talked about Terrell Bernard, 112 tackles last year. A guy like Kalen Barnes might be the fastest player on the team. Coach Aranda feels he's going to have a great year at that cornerback spot at 6 foot. And then you got Texada at the other cornerback spot, one of the rare returning starters coming back. He's got some talent. So there is talent. I think they'll be better than expected. I don't think they'll be as good as last year's defense. And let's face it, if you watch Baylor last year, it was those 3 defensive linemen that disrupted everything. James Lynch, Bravion Roy, James Lockhart. They, to me, were the key to the Baylor defense, and how those guys get replaced, I think, will be the key to this year's defense.
Charlie Brewer returns as the starter. Baylor's got some depth at quarterback that you'll see, but having a senior coming back, even though it is going to be tough, like you said, taking over this with what they've lost, how much is that a benefit for Baylor?
Any experienced guy coming back is big. Having to learn a new system is not big, but having some experience on the field, and as much experience as Charlie Brewer has, I think is huge. The running back core is experienced, and even the receivers. I rate the receivers in my top units in the front of the magazine, with R.J. Sneed coming back, with Tyquan Thornton coming back. So those are all positives on the offense, and probably the big bright spot of Baylor for Coach Aranda taking over is those experienced skill players on offense.
What are your thoughts on Tom Herman in Texas, Phil? They seem, to be poised perhaps for a bounce-back year. I mean, they've had success, obviously, but there's always higher expectations. Ellinger entering his senior year, obviously that experience matters a great deal. How do you feel they're set up?
Well, I do an experience chart in the magazine, and, one of the reasons that I picked Baylor to drop off in record-wise this year is the fact that they dropped all the way down to number 89 on my experience chart. Last year, remember Texas, Sam Ellinger saying, we're back. But Texas last year was one of the least experienced teams in the country. They were number 92 on my experience chart. Well, this year they're all the way up to number 34. And keep in mind, last year their secondary got beat up by injuries. They at one point were missing 5 defensive backs. 10 different guys started in that secondary, and that's when Texas's defense really struggled, was when those guys were injured. Well, now they get those injured players back, so they actually have more experience coming back than do the 9 returning starters listed. They move all the way up to number 34 on my experience chart. Ellinger at quarterback. They were thin at running back last year. They now have depth. They've got Ingram. They've got the converted quarterback, Roshan Johnson. They've got Daniel Young, Bijan Robinson coming in there, Darian Brown. Some more depth there. The offensive line looks stronger. I think this is a Texas team that is poised to give Oklahoma a challenge in the Big 12. Now, I didn't want to go out there and pick Texas to win the Big 12. Too many guys have done that in recent years and come up short. But I think they can give Oklahoma a good run in the Big 12 this year.
Phil, is there somebody that maybe you otherwise – and I know there's over 100 schools in all of what you do, but is there somebody that otherwise you were like, nah, they're probably not going to be all that much, and then you started looking at the stats and analyzing all the things you've said and went, wow, these guys are jumping off the page at me?
The one team I think really jumps out, and I'm going to take you out a different part of the country, and that would be Northwestern. You watched Northwestern play last year, and they didn't really have an offense. Their offense Well, extremely poor. They average 16.3 points per game. They only have 5 starters back, and they struggle to a 3-9 season. But as you touched on, there's other things to look at. And just 2 years ago, Northwestern was in the Big Ten title game. Pat Fitzgerald had been 15-1 in Big Ten play until last year when he only won 1 game in Big Ten play. And then I looked at the defense closer, and you automatically knee-jerk to a 3-9 team and say, well, they weren't good anywhere. No, they had a top 20 defense last year, and their defense this year returns 9 starters. They've got guys like Patty Fisher, Blake Gallagher, Ernest Brown back in the defensive front 7, 2 NFL caliber guys in the secondary, and Greg Newsome and J.R. Pace. So they are loaded there. And offensively, they had Peyton Ramsey from Indiana, and he might be the straw that stirs the drink. They've got some talent on offense, new offense coordinator Mike Bajakin, and I think when you look at Northwestern, they're going to more resemble that Northwestern team that was contending in the Big Ten West rather than last year's 3-9 squad.
Is there a team with a new coach out there, outside of Baylor, obviously, but is there one that's set up to do well with the new coach, and is there one that people may have too high expectations for right out of the gate?
Well, one that the expectations might not be high, but they still are up there would be Michigan State. And with Michigan State, I just think that Mel Tucker steps into an extremely difficult situation. You know, they've got a new offense coordinator, new defense coordinator. Mel Tucker not only took over the team late, he took them over after the freshman signing class was in. So they didn't have any spring practices, don't know the players. They don't even know the freshmen that were signed because they didn't recruit them. It was a late signing for Mel Tucker, and Michigan State is a team that's in a bowl game every year. Heck, last year they were in a bowl. The last 3 years they've been in a bowl game, including 10 wins 3 years ago. I think this year they struggle to win 3, maybe even 4 games this year. So they're the team that might just struggle. And here's a team, once again, going out of the box. I don't want to just talk Big 12 country. I'm going to go all the way out to the Mountain West for the other one, but it's Hawaii. And this one surprised me a little bit. I've talked to Todd Graham in every stop that he's been in, and you know, some of his first years they've struggled a little bit, but he is genuinely excited about the talent that he inherited at Hawaii. Nick Rolovich did a great job recruiting players, building the culture. He says these players expect to win. He really likes the talent he's got to come back on the offensive line and on the defensive side of the ball. So whereas I thought they'd take a step back, new head coach, new systems, and first year, Todd Graham's pretty happy about the situation he's stepping into, and I think they're going to do a lot better than most folks expect for that first-year head coach.
Phil, Jimbo Fisher at A&M, they've had some success. I seem to recall some talk in the offseason of, you know, maybe having a more favorable schedule this year. Who knows what that schedule will look like when all is said and done, but are they poised this year to be contenders more so than they have been the last couple years in the SEC West and the SEC as a whole?
You know, I talked to Jimbo last year and went over the team with him, and 2 things struck out to me. First of all, prior to the conversation, I had looked at the schedule, and it was tough. I mean, they played 3 teams that were ranked number 1 in the country last year. They also took on the number 4 team and the number 8 team. It was a brutal schedule. The other thing that struck me after was at the end of the conversation with Coach Fisher last year was the lack of seniors. This was a team that was inexperienced, had no seniors, and was playing a tough schedule. And I told him, I said, hey, Coach, next year I'm going to put you on the front of on my magazine cover. I said I'm going to put you on my magazine cover next year is what I told them. And here they are. They're on the back of my magazine this year as my number 1 surprise team in the country. They jump all the way up to number 10 on my experience chart, 17 returning starters. It's Jimbo Fisher's 3rd year. I think when a head coach comes in, generally the 3rd year, when you've got 3 recruiting classes, the majority of the team are your guys, that's when you have your best year. Their schedule drops all the way to number 66. They're not going to play a single number 1 team unless Alabama's number 1 at the end of the year. And so easier schedule, much more experience, better recruits than what they had when Fisher stepped in. I think Texas A&M could be this year's LSU. They are my number 1 surprise team.
Yeah, their schedule was insane last year with who they had and the sledgehammer. All right, so again, the Bill Stills College Football Magazine, Books A Million, and Barnes & Noble. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it this year. Last year we printed about 200,000 magazines. We were everywhere, every mom and pop place. This year, exclusive deals with Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, or you can go online and get it at philsteele.com. And guess what, guys? The truck just pulled in today. I got the magazine in my hand right now.
Okay.
So we are shipping them out. If you order them through philsteele.com today, we ship them out priority mail, and it gets to you in 1 to 3 days.
That's awesome, and it really, thanks for being a part of the show. I know I think I saw earlier today you have 14 different interviews you're doing on various sports outlets, and congratulations on finding a way to get this done despite what you've had to face. Thanks for your time. Again, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. It's a machine. It's Phil Steele's College Football Magazine. Thanks for your time.
Hey, a lot of fun talking football with you guys today. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. That's Phil Steele of College Football Magazine. Again, it's July 15th the printers have it completed, so he said he just arrived. Let's see, expected to be on newsstands at those stores I mentioned beginning July 24th, and you can also go online to order the magazine as well. And it is truly the part about Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. And then Jason King even asked us this about what's the part you pick up and want to read immediately. To me, I look for the feature stories. But you can go in and find every high school football program, and what they do and how they do it is amazing. Even if it's just the returning Letterman starters, whatever, you're going to get something. There's data on every school. And someone who, myself and Craig, has to enter all this, eventually, this year was the easiest year to get information from high school coaches, from what is about 240 schools or so that we cover with my high school website, Smoky.com, because they had nothing to do.
Yeah.
I still had to track down the changes. There were less changes this year, even though there were some changes. But it would seem like I got more feedback once I kind of got on them a little bit than ever before. And I started late this year because we had our changes that we had to deal with. And I'm excited. I'm thrilled that the number of programs we've been able to enter already on the site.
By the way, is it vain that for years and years I just turned to make sure our ad was okay?
Yeah.
That was all I did.
That's what it was. All right, so that's Phil Steele. And so Graham Harrell, Earl Campbell, Phil Steele coming up next. Former Heisman Trophy winner and Ravens quarterback Robert Griffin III on Sikkim 365 Radio. If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing evaluation if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It's summer. Time to go somewhere in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. It's our huge summer clearance event featuring 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on our hottest models. Pick a new 2020 Jeep Cherokee Latitude with $5,750 in total values or 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or the fun 2020 Jeep Renegade with up to $7,000 in total values or 0% for 72. Adios 2020s from Allen Samuels.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
What a fake. Touchdown, Bears. Oh, boy, did RG3 sell that.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Robert Griffin III. You know, earlier we had Earl Campbell, Heisman Trophy winner, and now we have Baylor's Heisman Trophy winner in RG3, Baltimore Ravens quarterback, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. All right, I'm going to start with something. I saw you today on the Madden 2021 on the speed meter, whatever they do with the speed number. That bothered you, didn't it?
Yeah, to say the least. To say the least, it bothers me. Look, man, I understand that it's political for the most part, right? You know, you can't be rated higher than a starter if you're not a current starter, yada, yada, yada. But if there's one thing they should get right, it should be the speed rating on Madden. And I'm not even on the list. I'm like, okay, come on, guys. Most people know I'm the fastest quarterback in the league, but you don't even put me on the list. And then, you know, that's just bogus, man. It's not right.
Robert, also, you've been there to EA Sports in the past. They know.
Yeah, I was a cover athlete of NCAA, and I've worked with EA in the past. But you know, sometimes I guess people forget. You just think that, you know, they wouldn't forget a world class Olympic level sprinter playing quarterback. But you know, maybe the guys that only play quarterback are just fast as hell.
What was that like, Robert? I wasn't around at the time. I came around about 2 years later, but to be on the cover of NCAA, which I think everybody wishes we still had around, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I think that might be one of the most requested games that be brought back by fans all over the place. I thought it was awesome. It wasn't just cool for me and my family, but it was cool for the university, because I think we did the shoot right in Fountain Mall. And everybody was able to come out and kind of see what was going on. So I think it was a great experience in that. And I'm all for bringing the game back. So, yeah, maybe I have to go talk to those guys about that Madden speed rating, at least that, you know.
I remember that moment in front of the fountain because I was able to grab you. You were inside kind of a cordoned off area. And then eventually when you went up for the NFL draft, EA Sports had a party at some place in New York. And I remember I had a chance to get you off to the side, and there was Kirk Herbstreit, and there was Aaron Andrews, and many, many others. Do you miss that attention, or do you kind of like the attention you get now?
Oh, I mean, I don't know what way to describe that. I don't miss the attention. I think that, you know, that attention that I got coming out was a byproduct of the excitement that was created at Baylor, the byproduct of, you know, being the eventual second pick in the draft, and then going off and doing the great things we did in Washington my rookie year. So I think the attention comes with the success, and when you have had the career that I've had over the course of the years, and the ups and downs, and the injuries, and and then, not getting opportunities, I think that's a byproduct of that. That's why the attention isn't as high. But that's what I was saying. Like, I understand an overall rating or this or that, but if there's one thing you're going to get right, it's got to be my speed. Come on, guys.
Well, you did the interview with John Keim last week. We had him on the show about your time in Washington. Was that cathartic for you to kind of be able to go back with some distance and perspective and kind of to go through some of that?
I think that a lot of people have wanted me to do that, and I just shied away from it because I didn't feel like it was the right time. And John, to his credit, he chased me for like 3 years, trying to get me to do that interview or that podcast. And I just told him, with everything that was going on in the world with inequality and the protests, I felt like it was the right time to have the conversation. And be able to add that, like you said, that perspective and over the years, seeing things in a different way, and just being frank about it. Like, I'm not really interested in people knowing my side of the story, because like they always say, there's always 3 sides to a story. One side, the other person's side, and the truth. So I just didn't feel like it was my job or my responsibility to go out there and do that. But when presented a question, I'm not going to avoid the question. I'm going to answer it. And I think that's what that was about. And I think people have wanted to hear that for a long time, and hopefully they got something out of it.
Robert, the Washington franchise still exists, but the Redskins no longer do as of yesterday, as a matter of fact. And this is something that was, hotly debated for years and years and years, but has finally now happened, and we'll see what their name is moving forward. But do you have any thoughts on that name change and the meaning behind it?
Yeah, I think that it'll be interesting for all the alumni, right? Like, what are we? Are we the Washingtons? I don't know. We'll see what the new name is, and then hopefully the organization will give us an opportunity to turn in our old memorabilia and get the new stuff. Because I got a draft jersey and captain's jerseys and the Pro Bowl jersey that all have the old name on them. So are they gonna do right by us and give us an opportunity to get the new stuff? And it'll be interesting, to say the least. I think a lot of fans will look at it in a way that they'll always see the team name as that team name, and it's going to take a couple generations before people actually get used to the new name.
Robert, you are now with the Ravens, and obviously last year, such a great run, and then it just ended in a thud in the postseason. And you also are back in the league after, and you've discussed this with us before when we had you on our debut show on April the 6th, of what you had to kind of learn and go through to get back in the league. Being back in the league, do I sense that you've regained a lot of your confidence back?
Yeah, I would say that the year off gave me clarity to kind of know what I want to do, what I want to be, and what type of player that I know I am. So I'm just eager to be able to go out and show it. And I know in Baltimore, no one really wants to see it, right? Because they don't want the starter to go down or get hurt or anything. But my job is to prove by way of latching on and earning my way with an organization like the Baltimore Ravens, that other organizations will see that and say, man, we got to get this guy a shot. We got to give him a chance. And that's really all I've been working for, not hoping for it, not begging for it, just working for it. And I feel like I've done that to this point with Baltimore, and we'll continue to do that every single day. So I'm ready to roll. Confidence is all-time high. And when I get my opportunity, I'll make the most of it.
When you were looking for a job, you're out of the league for a year. It's not like you can be all that picky about where you go when you get offers, but to wind up with an organization like Baltimore, one that they just handle their business well, Robert. I mean, everything seems to kind of go the right way for them because of the way they do things. How much of that is a benefit to you for the next step in your career, whatever that is?
Yeah, I think it was paramount. I think it was the most important thing. I agree with you. In 17, I had options, and I turned them down. Well, when 18 came around and I had been out of the league for a year, then you just have to make hard decisions. And I made the hard decision to go be the fourth quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens and try to earn my keep on a league minimum deal. And I earned my way through that. So the Ravens, like you said, they just do business the right way. And when I say business, they make it easy for me as a player to enjoy the game because it's all based off the merits of what I do on the field. And they're going to have our back off the field. They're going to have our back in the media. They're going to have our back organizationally because it's all moving towards one common goal, and that goal is winning. So I think it was awesome. And the more important part that I think people overlook is that in order for you to stick on with an organization like the Baltimore Ravens, you have to be what they call a Ravens guy. And the Ravens guy is what teams all around the league want. They want guys who are dedicated, who are smart, who are talented, and who are all going to help you achieve that common goal. So I think because I was able to stick with an organization like that, my prayer is that it was able to change the perception. It was a wrong perception, but at the end of the day, that was the perception about me. And I think it was able to change that perception around the league to say, wow, if this guy can stick on with the Baltimore Ravens and can do all these things to help the starter and to put himself in a good light, I think teams see that and they say, all right, maybe we should give this guy a shot.
Robert, given all that's going on in the world right now, whether it be, protests, racial unrest here in this country, whether it be COVID-19 obviously as well, what are your thoughts on, training camps right around the corner, the season, all the precaution and protocols and everything that comes with that? I mean, we're watching the Major League Baseball and NBA trying to get back to it right now, but just how are you feeling about the NFL and kind of how everything's set up at the moment?
Guys, I can tell you this. I can be long-winded on this one, but I'm going to just keep it real short. I mean, it's not looking good. My confidence isn't very high. I think there's more issues every single day. The outbreak numbers are going up every single day, and it's just a matter of, is it safe? I don't know. I don't know if it's safe. Mm-hmm. I got a call after this with the NFLPA and the board of executives to try to figure out, did anything get solved in the conversation with the NFL yesterday? For me personally, it's not about me. Like anyone who knows me knows that sometimes I can be a knucklehead and try to play through anything, right? I played with one leg in Washington, and I played a whole game with no ACL in college. If you guys remember that, against Northwestern State, which happens to be my sister's school. So I've been known to be a knucklehead and try to fight through everything. But for me, this isn't about whether or not I'm afraid of catching COVID-19 or getting coronavirus. It's about my family, right? I don't want to do that, put myself in harm's way, and then I come home and I get my family sick. I think that's a bigger issue for me, and I think that's a bigger issue for a lot of players. It's just a matter of, is this safe? Is this the safest thing to do? And right now, I'm not getting anything that says it's safe. I'm not getting anything that says, we're doing the best thing we can do for the players. I understand the money. I definitely understand the money. And it's not just for the players. It's not just for the owners. It's for the states, right? It's for the workers who help put on these events and everything. So everybody's looking at their livelihood flashing before their eyes. And it's just a matter of, is your life more important than money?
The NBA is doing their thing in their bubble right now where, again, their players aren't going to see their families for a few months, especially the teams that continue to advance into this tournament that they're doing. Could NFL teams sustain that? NBA teams are much smaller. NFL teams, very large, a lot of support staff, a lot of things. Could you support that? Could a team really do that from July straight through February?
I mean, I want to be clear. Like, I support playing the game. I support doing it in a safe way. The problem with the NFL compared to the NBA, you've already mentioned, there's more people in the NFL, and it's easier to do a bubble format in the NBA because you can get 322 players in the same city and have them housed and create this bubble to where they're not leaving. But in the NFL, it's really, really hard to bring thousands of players to the same city and do it that way. So we're going to be in a bubble in our facility, but when we leave the facility and go home, who knows what guys are going to do? And I've heard some people say we should, maybe find guys who are out there doing things that are against the rules. But I don't think that, implementing a new fine system to take money away from guys is a good idea. It's going to be a lot harder to do the bubble format for the NFL, which is why we're going to have to do things to try to create a bubble in individual cities. Maybe if meetings are virtual, we're only on the field for a certain amount of time to reduce the amount of contact we have with each other, because football is a contact sport, and it's 11 on 11. You're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to hit. You're gonna have to get tackled before the season starts. So it's an interesting situation the NFL is in, because we are probably the most contact sport in a time where contact is the enemy.
Robert, you mentioned the NFLPA discussion in about an hour, and are you the rep for Baltimore?
I am not the NFLPA rep for Baltimore. That's Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Cox, our punter, and then Marlon Humphrey is our alternate. So
okay,
I've stayed in close communication and contact with all those guys and have kept my ear to the floor on everything that's been going on. But I'm not the union rep for the Ravens.
Okay. I have another question. I asked you about your confidence. You have been very much out on social media during these last you've always been there, but the last 2 or 3 months with what this country has faced and where it is. And I saw your 6.5 minute video commentary about America. When you released that, how long did it take for you to come up with the words? And was that just something that you came straight out of your heart and soul?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely came straight out of my heart and soul. I kind of sat down with my wife and the Ravens. You know, that was part of a bigger video with the Ravens, and they wanted us to kind of sit down and just talk. And they didn't care if it was, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours. They just wanted us to talk about whether it be our experiences or what we want the world to know or what we hope to have in America. And I talked to him. I said, man, I don't know if I could do that because I could go on for hours about this. So I sat down with my wife and I said, let me just get my thoughts together, figure out what I want to address and what I want to say to try to keep it succinct so that the message is clear. So when I got on the interview or, the Zoom meeting with the Ravens and they started recording, I did it in one take. And the reason I was able to do it in one take is because if you're talking from the heart and you're speaking from what you know, it's very easy to remember what you're going to say. And, me and my wife probably sat down for about an hour, kind of ironed it out, had an idea of what I wanted to say and didn't try to script it. So when I went and I did it with the Ravens, it took me one take and they were speechless afterwards. And I asked them if they weren't going to use the entire, take, could I get it so I could post it on my own? And they were gracious enough to let me do that and put it together for me. So I just wanted people to know that there's certain things that a lot of us don't talk about, not just in the majority communities, but also in the minority communities. And a lot of reasons we don't talk about this because we're afraid of the backlash. But now more than ever is the right time to speak up and support each other. Your issues are my issues, and the issues that I have in my community are yours. And we have to try to be the America that we've always wanted to be. We just never been that. And accepting that fact is part of the solution, because then you can get better.
Do you feel like people listen to you?
I do. I don't really attribute, likes and retweets to whether or not people are listening. But it did get a fair amount of likes and retweets. And I think that the communication I've gotten from the message, whether it be via email, text message, people I know, that it was well received. Because I feel like sometimes when we're so, people get passionate about certain issues and it all turns into an argument. When all we need to do is really just have a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Have a conversation so that we can figure out how to implement change, right? If I just post that video and I don't do anything in the community or work with any local or state governments or politicians to try to fix things, then I'm just doing it for show.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is what happens, and I just don't want to be that guy. So I would never post anything like that in the past because I was doing things behind the scenes. I was doing things silently, and I felt like that was enough. But because of everything that's happened, I felt like it was the right time to not just do it silently, but also to do it publicly. And I want to be an agent for change. I want people to be the change that they want to see in the world. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's the best way to get it done.
Robert, we hear the term uncomfortable conversations a lot, and I've actually found over this time that they're really only uncomfortable in the first couple of minutes, and then after that, they're pretty good, aren't they? I mean, you get to learn things that you would have never had if you hadn't just brought up this one topic that scares you a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, just in general, like when I got into the league, people, advisors telling me, don't ever talk about race, religion, or politics, right? Because those are the budding issues, the issues that people really, for lack of a better word, say, get in their feelings about. So yeah, those conversations can be awkward at first because people are defensive about what they believe in. But if you just take the idea that, look, I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to hear you out so that I can learn from your experiences that I've truly never experienced, I think that's where the growth happens. So yeah, the conversation might be a little awkward at first, but after that, then it's a healthy conversation. It's not me telling you that you're wrong. It's just if you're a white male in America, you don't go through a lot of the things that a black male in America goes through. So you have to listen to be able to learn from those experiences and not just automatically say, oh, that's an excuse. Oh, you're just pulling the race card. It's let me listen to you so I can understand where you're coming from before I go ahead and make a judgment on where I think you're coming from.
Robert, do you feel like, and I've asked you this in a different way in a different part of the topic about your confidence based on your back in the league and what you're doing. Do you feel like the timing of you now in year 2 with Baltimore and what you're trying to say or what you're trying to teach people with this day and age of America is kind of,
storm?
Perfect storm, perfect timing?
Yeah, I do. I think it's everything is aligning, right? You know, I have a story to tell from my own experiences, professionally and personally. And the way that 2020 shaped up, it's been like one of the most tumultuous years I've ever seen in my 30 years of life, right? And just everything that's gone on and all the uncertainty, I think it has been a perfect storm to be able to speak up, not only for what's right, but also to be a leader with the Baltimore Ravens. You know, I think the Ravens have always told me just be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And everything else will take care of itself. So I think that's just what I try to do, be myself with this team. I think I've earned the respect of my teammates with everything that I've done and everything that I've been through in my career. And I think that when I speak on these types of issues, I'm heard. And I think that's the most important thing. It's not just about talking. It's about being able to influence people in a positive way.
4x100, former Baylor football players. You mentioned the 4x100. We've had Tevin Reese on. We've had Corey Coleman on. We've had Clay Fuller, who would be a dark horse pick here. 4x100.
Lake.
We've had Lake on. A 4x100, no matter if you're the anchor or not, because I know you're going to be on it. I'm putting you on the spot. 4x100 Baylor football players.
4x100 Baylor football players. Of course, I'm going to be biased, right? I'm going to have to include the guys that you know that I played with, right? So,
yeah,
man, that's a hard one because Lake's definitely on the relay. I'm putting Lake at second leg. I'm probably putting Tevin Reese as my third leg, and then for me, I got to go with Lanier Sampson.
Wow,
Lanier Sampson is going to be my first leg because all the other guys that I would have to be on there would have to be the anchor, and I'm not giving up the anchor. So, you know, I mean, I just got to be guys. Come on, I got to be honest, right? You got the Josh Gordon, you got these, you know, you got the Antoine Goodley. These guys are all track based guys, or should I say football players who ran track. But Lanier Sampson is the only guy that I know. Every time we ran 40s, he ran a 4.3 40, and he's the best starter I've ever seen in my life. So it'd be Lanier. It'd be Lanier to Lake Seastrong to Tevin Reese, and then I'm bringing down the anchor.
Okay. Charlie Brewer today was a part of the Davey O'Brien Award, and RG3 is our guest on Sick 'Em 365 Radio, and I know we're wrapping it up, and you've got to go. He's a part of the Davey O'Brien Award. You've seen him blossom from when he took over a dumpster fire record and team his freshman year to where he is today. Your thoughts about what he represents, how tough he is, and what he's done with the program?
Oh man, I'm a fan. I am 100% a fan of Charlie, and you know, luckily with Charlie, I've been able to be a mentor also, and that was something that was really important to me because I had that a little bit with Odell James when he was a part of the program early on in my Baylor career, but I really wanted to be that for some of the guys as I continue to grow up and experience these things at the next level. So I've been able to be a mentor for Charlie, and I think what he represents is honestly what everyone else has already said, right? He's one of the toughest people that I know. with all the injuries and especially the head injuries that he had to deal with last year, still going out there, putting it on the line for his team. I'm excited to see him, whether it be this fall or the spring or whenever the football season is, in this new offense. Because I think it's going to bring the best out of him. It's going to bring a little bit of that flair in the on the offensive side of the ball that we had when I was there. So I think for Charlie, the biggest thing is not worrying about anything other than going out there, having fun, being with his guys. Everything else will take care of itself. The NFL will be there, right? He can stay healthy. He can go out there and be that tough, gritty player that we need him to be. So I'm a big fan of his, and I've been blessed to be able to mentor him over the past couple of years.
My last question for you. You've had it all. Heisman Trophy, 10-3, won a bowl game, number 2 pick in the draft, all these endorsements, Rookie of the Year, phenomenal start to your NFL career. So you've had it all at your fingertips, and then all of a sudden some of it, and then a lot of it disappeared. What is it like to be happy again and feel the way you do?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't really get this question that often because people mostly like to look at it in a negative way. But for me, having all of that at my fingertips and then having it all be taken away either by injury or whatever happened in my career, it really showed me, who is really there for me. You know what I mean? It's easy for people to be there for you when everything's riding high, but when things don't go your way and they start going downhill or downhill quickly, it's really it can be really tough, and you know who's really there for you. So the happiness part for me comes from hitting rock bottom, having to hit reset, and then understanding that not only is this what I'm called to do, this is what I want to do, right? And because of that, I was able to take that opportunity with the Ravens and run with it. When most guys who would be in my situation would say, okay, I'm not going to do that, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to sit on my money. I'm going to move to Costa Rica and I'm going to relax for the rest of my life. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the guy who had the pen in my hand to write my story however I deemed fit, and no one was ever going to be able to say that I quit. So over the course of the years, I've been able to eliminate the people from my life who weren't there for the right reasons. And now I'm able to be happy. And I think people see that when I go play. They see that when I'm on the playing in the games or I'm there for my teammates. They see that in me because, I've always been a guy, I can't really hide emotion that well. So I've always been a guy that, I smile when it's genuine and I'm pumped when it's genuine. And I think people see that from me. And the messages I've gotten over the past 2 years have all been, hey, RG, it's great to see you having fun playing the game again. So I think I was able to realize that through hardship. And you never have a testimony if you never have a test. And I've had one of the biggest tests, and I've been through probably more in the first 7 years of my career than any other quarterback has been in the first 7 years of their career, whether it's the highest of the highs, being an MVP candidate, the lowest of the lows, being out of the league, and then clawing your way back in. So hopefully I can continue this to tell this story for the next 10, 15 years and have it written with all my dreams and goals accomplished.
It's a great time to have you again, friend. Thank you very much, RG3. Appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Much love.
Robert Griffin III with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Imagine to have it and then you lose it. And we as a society we love superstars. We froth, we goggle, whatever the word is. And then we also, look for the fall. And he's right. You find out who's with you. And then whether it's his story or anyone's story. And, man, I tell you what, we've had some good stuff today.
Well, just thinking about where he was maybe a couple years ago to where he is now. I mean, he's obviously so much happier. Family has made a tremendous difference. Being a father, being in a great marriage, has certainly helped as well. So, yeah, just very, very happy for him because, there was a time where I can imagine he wouldn't want to get on social media. He's kind of the tough-minded guy that he would and see all the things people would perhaps say. But, he could have, like he said, just wandered off, enjoyed retirement or whatever, but here he is. He's happier than ever, family better than ever, teammates better than ever, franchise better than ever, and yeah, you just don't give up and you keep believing in yourself, and he's a testament to that, and regardless of what happens the rest of his career, he's made a comeback and, has turned it into a positive.
Yeah, I would say that's the most relaxed we ever had him on the air. And
he's awesome.
And he's always been great. But there was a time when we'd have him on the air, and you could tell in his voice the tension about everything that was kind of going on with him. And now it's, the first day of the show, the times before that we talked to him, it's just he's really hit a stride, personally and professionally, I think.
Yeah, that was interesting. We hit some deep topics and some deep discussion, and also we appreciate his. And I liked what he said. You see me smile, that means I'm happy. And that's Robert Griffin III, Earl Campbell, Graham Harrell, Phil Steele, and we're not done.
So Lanier Sampson, Lake Seastrunk, Tevin Reese, and RG3.
Yeah, and
4x100.
he eliminated like 5 guys because he was the anchor, and they all should have been. Whether it's Kendall, whether it was
Goodley,
Katie Cannon, or Goodley, or Clay Fuller, or whoever, Terrence Williams. If they were going to be the anchor, he's not moving from the anchor, and so he nuked.
Yeah.
Like 5 or 10 guys just off the top.
He didn't take himself off of it, which shows you the confidence he has. Of course,
Nor should he.
Nor should he. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. From D. Carter 299 on my Twitter feed. What a message from RG3. You don't have a testimony if you don't have a test. When we come back, the 4 o'clock hour, wrapping it up with a couple of notes. We'll catch up on a couple of stories today. Again, man, it's great to welcome Southwest Sports Medicine as our newest full-throttle sponsor. Thanks to Cameron Caulfield, Matt Rohr, and the staff at Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, of course, part of the Baylor Scott and White umbrella. Also in 5 o'clock, David Hellman on the Cowboys, and then John McClain at 5:30. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Summertime means vacation time, and while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Brand spanking new 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cabs. Now 0% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $10,250 in total values. America's most loyal half-ton pickup owners are Ram owners. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels. Ask for details.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. This is wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour. 254. Great interview with RG3. When I think of him, the Sooners game, one of the best Baylor football games ever. Of course, that was the throw to Terrence Williams. We'll have him again. I still want to know what he was thinking second half against Kansas his senior year. Remember, they were down like 24-3 at halftime.
They were cooked. That was it. They were
done.
Goose was cooked.
It was like, yeah, here they're going to go win 6 games.
And then we had to. I remember Derek Smith and Matt Izzetti and I watched that at our apartment because it was only on some kind of weird internet feed. It wasn't on so we watched it, and then literally right before that last drive, our internet went out for like 4 minutes. And when you think about it, I thought, well, 4 minutes isn't long in the grand scheme of things. And the Art Browse offense, that's 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, no kidding.
They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. It all was kickstarted when RG3 ran down the left sideline, with the near sideline, whatever, with the TV camera, and scored from like 50 out. Next thing you know, boom, boom, boom.
Outside of, I wish there was a way to like take a day on Twitter and like be able to scroll through that. And like it would be impossible to do, and there'd be all the miscellaneous stuff that would be there. But as far as reactions and emotions and all that, obviously 61-58. Yeah. Obviously the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
But outside of that, what's number 3?
Yeah.
What would be in your guys' opinion?
You mean positive or negative?
Positive, obviously.
Positive,
I don't want to go negative here.
Yeah.
Because those are the two that are always talked about.
Okay, you said 61-58 and then
Oklahoma.
I
would think.
How about the game at Oklahoma?
Yeah.
We
at
were all
Oklahoma.
3 there. We were there.
But beating Texas for the first time in a long time,
Wasn't there a muff punt in 2010 or something
And
like that?
K-State will be brought up, obviously as well. But
yeah, but when they beat Texas for the first time in a long time, I think that was a big one. I remember when I first moved here with the interns that we had, I had asked them, like, hey, you going to the football game? Like, no, I'm going to go home. Like, I go to Baylor, but I'm a Texas. I mean, of course, it's coming off the 05 championship, but I'm a Texas fan. Like, no. Once you came here, you don't get to be that anymore.
Right.
Like, the minute, like, no, you don't get to be that.
Yeah,
Once you don't get to be that. And it boggled my mind. And then when they beat Texas, it also reminded me of like when I lived in Tampa, there's a bunch of Yankees fans that became Rays fans, for a minute. It was the same thing. Like all of a sudden that burnt orange jersey got thrown away and they finally embraced themselves. So that was a pretty big one, I think.
Lake Seastrunk has responded. Craig, you put up the 4x100. RG3 would have to race me for the anchor.
Oh, here we go.
I love it.
I put up a tweet now, and I said, at RG3's Fantasy Baylor 4x100 team, Lanier Sampson first leg, Lake Seastrunk second leg, Tevin Reese third leg, RG3 fourth leg. Told us he could pick others, but they'd have to be the anchor, and that's his spot. Pretty funny. And, then I tagged Lanier, Tevin, and Lake as well.
By the way, Mo Porter's going to join us tomorrow. Former offensive lineman, junior college player from Navarro. He is now, how big is Mo Porter? Off the top of your head. 6'3", 4'5", how much? How much does he weigh?
6.
He's probably lost some weight because they do when they get out of the game.
Right.
How much do you think Mo Porter, which is a human being, I think the largest man is still Robert T. Griffin or Cyril Richardson, one of those two. How big do you think Mo Porter is? How would you say?
I would say, he's 6'5", 6'4", 6'5".
How much?
Right?
How much does he weigh?
Right now, I'd say about probably 275.
You think?
I think he got dropped down that much.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to guess.
He's the running backs coach at West Mesquite High School, whose head coach is Frank Sandoval, who was at Mejia.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
That's really cool.
I'm going to say he's 275. That's my guess.
He's going to join us tomorrow, and we got a running backs coach.
I got 6. He's
like
6'5".
Remember, and you guys will, neither one of you might, Paul, because one of them went to A&M, and the other, I think, maybe both. Remember George Woodard? You never saw him play. He was a big Craig Ironhead Hayward came along later. He played, I think, at Pittsburgh. But George Woodard was a big man, and it was a running back, and I believe he came out of somewhere like Freer, Texas, or whatever. He went to A&M. He was a huge running back, And that was I just mentioned in Mo Porter's offensive lineman at Baylor.
So how much does he weigh? Do you know?
George Woodard. I'm going to look
No,
that up.
Mo, you were asking us.
I'll text him. I was just
Oh,
curious.
I don't care.
He's got to be at least 275, 280, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean,
Okay.
I'm assuming he's lost some weight.
Yeah.
In his time off.
We can find out tomorrow when we talk to him.
Yeah.
It's not like of breaking news importance, but I am looking forward to see how this Lake and RG3 conversation goes on Twitter.
We'll
That's
have
pretty
to follow
cool.
that again.
Yeah, and
By
we
the
need
way-
Lanier and Tevin to chime in as well.
All of our segments with Baylor brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. We appreciate them, your friends in the car business on Imperial Exit off Loop 340 and Highway 6 in Waco. Also, I saw this. He's been very outspoken about, and I say outspoken, he's been very much opinionated about where we are in America today. Who's the guy? He's on Fox. He was with Jason Whitlock. What's the guy's name that's doing the show now? I can't remember his name. He played in the NFL, defensive lineman. Here's what he said.
Marcellus Wiley?
I think it is Marcellus Wiley. Yeah, he's on ESPN now. I think it is.
Or he was on ESPN, then he was on
Now,
Fox.
Fox.
Now, yeah.
America is not divided by race, color, gender, or sexual orientation. America is divided into wise people and fools. And fools divide themselves by race, color, gender, or sexual orientation.
That's pretty much true.
That's what that was from Marcellus Wiley. Just a little note about that.
Hey, I just saw an update from David Kay. He just sent us there was a correction for their testing numbers yesterday. Just a slight correction. He said, please note the corrected number of new cases since last week. We had a positive result that arrived shortly after our July 6th release, which was mistakenly omitted from the count of new cases since last week, but it was included in our total number of positives. We apologize for the error. So I guess the new cases since last week is actually 12. So there was, one that got lost in the shuffle. And again, not all are currently in Waco, and they are from multiple sports as well. So that 12, it was 11 on the original. So just a slight difference, but I wanted to make sure and at least pass that along in the issue, in the interest of transparency.
I appreciate them updating it. Yeah. Also, the chat room on Sikkim365.com in the premium section, brought to you by Willis Law Firm, and the app. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. I got a note earlier about listening to the app from Mike up at Lake Whitney, the White Bluffs at Lake Whitney. Appreciate him listening. And Deontay helping us, Paul, with the social distancing.
Yeah, he is.
He's missed Cajun food, ribeyes.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
Yeah, he was supposed to step in for Dylan today early, but he's made some other plans. But he's helping me today.
No, we love the guy. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is next.
Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people that you can count on. They are tremendous when it comes to their customer service and keeping in mind all the things that we're facing right now as a country, whether that be, and primarily I'm talking about the coronavirus. A lot of people a little bit iffy about going out or not, but they've got you in mind as they disinfect their showroom daily. Their employees wash their hands, and they can also, if you're still worried about safety, bring the test drive to your home. Right now, it's employee pricing for everyone at Richard Carr. You pay what employees pay all month long. Right now, qualified buyers save over $7,000 on 2020 Acadias or Yukons, or you can save over $6,000 on a GMC Terrain. They've also got the Buick Encores with its quiet ride, roomy interior, safety features, latest technology. If you're looking for the perfect crossover SUV, well, right now, get a Buick Encore for only $19,900, a savings of $6,000 on a 2020 Encore. Plus, they've got the line of Cadillacs as well. The XT4, the XT5, or the roomier 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Right now, you can experience the thrill of owning the Cadillac XT4 for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They get you great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service whenever you purchase a vehicle at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business. So again, check out that daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
There's so much to discuss, of course. We mentioned Chris Jones with the Chiefs, Myles Garrett with the Browns, among others. Tomorrow's the day that if you've been tagged, right, Paul, you have to have something done.
Yeah, got to make a deal.
Or you cannot negotiate again until after the season. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then the great news is we'll be able to continually ask David Hellman next offseason the same questions we did
about Dak.
About Dak and his extension.
You know, one thing I know this, and David, I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't, whether or not, and nothing will change between now and tomorrow, but to me, nothing will change as well. I don't get any vibe, never have, that Dak Prescott becomes sullen or doesn't have full throttle. I am not worried at all that he won't give every piece of effort he has no matter what happens. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. This has never been about Dak's attitude. I mean,
if Dak had an attitude, it would have cropped up any of the other years where he was the lowest, valued player in the NFL by salary. Being a 4th-round pick starting for the Dallas Cowboys for the last 3 years. No, I don't worry about his attitude at all. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a little part of Dak is looking forward to playing on the tag. One, because he thrives with a chip on his shoulder. He'll tell you that himself. And two, if he plays up to his own level of self-confidence, he'll be in line for an even bigger payday next offseason. So, I'm sure he'd love to have the long-term security, but I don't think Dak Prescott's going to lose a lot of sleep if he doesn't get a deal by tomorrow.
Yeah, and David, I'm not thinking we're getting one. Are you?
No, I'm not. But having said that, I mean, these guys say deadlines make deals, and they're not exaggerating. Like it's a very Cowboys thing for it to really come down to the wire. I saw somebody online today, went back and put together a timeline where Dez signed his long-term deal in 2015, less than an hour before the deadline. So, no, I definitely don't get the feeling that anything's going to happen. But, talk to me at noon tomorrow and see if anybody's changed their mind. Like I said, I doubt it, but I can't rule it out.
What's your sort of just overall feel right now, David, when it comes to, coronavirus, the numbers that we're seeing, NFL training camps, all of the chatter about that? Just kind of what's your grip on sort of where we are and where the NFL is with everything?
I mean, it doesn't seem like the NFL has a complete grip on anything. So I mean, I don't know how I could be anywhere but in limbo. I mean, I know this. They're going to make a go of it. That much is pretty obvious just based on everything we're hearing. But then, you see conflicting reports from players like Richard Sherman and Randall Cobb and Byron Jones, coming out on Twitter and other social platforms and saying, whoa, there's a lot of details we haven't figured out considering you expect us to report for camp in 2 weeks. It doesn't seem like enough time to handle all of that. But like I said, I think the NFL is going to make a very concerted effort to make it happen. Obviously, football is so popular and so meaningful to a lot of people. And let's be honest, there's a lot of money at stake. So I don't know how successful it's going to be, but I'm pretty confident they're going to give it a go.
With the franchise tag he has, and then the one most likely it appears he might be tagged with again next year, how fortunate in the Patrick Mahomes extension was it that year 2 of that extension is basically very little?
You mean for the Chiefs?
Yes, for the Chiefs that affects the top 5 highest paid quarterbacks and salary. Dak.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, and, obviously the Chiefs looking out for their own cap interests by extending him while he's still got 2 years left on his rookie deal. But that's a very good point is, the Cowboys put the exclusive tag on Dak, which puts him, at the average of the 5 biggest salaries right now. When it's a non-exclusive tag, it's the average over the last few years instead of this year. So, yeah, I mean, if Patrick Mahomes was about to play on a $45 million salary, that would drastically change Dak's number as well. Fortunately, that's not the case because, like we said, Pat's still got 2 years left on his original deal.
Dak is going to make in the next 2 years, minimum $60 million, right? So this is a pretty unique situation for anybody to be in, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's more money than Kirk Cousins, but it wasn't that long ago. I think Kirk's tags were for like 20 and 25, I think. So Kirk Cousins made almost 50. And yeah, Dak's number next year would be 37.7. So really you're talking about almost 70 million guaranteed, which that's kind of what I've been saying the last few days is, no matter what happens, they're probably going to tag Dak next year just to make sure they don't lose him. You don't want him hitting the open market. And even if you're trying to draft or sign another quarterback, you want to make sure you have Dak in your back pocket just in case it doesn't work out. So you're committing $70 million to the guy over the next 2 seasons if you don't get a deal done. Whereas, the guarantees for a deal, if they do it by tomorrow, would be, probably like 115, which it's significantly more, but not that much more when you're already committing $70 million to him, which is why I keep saying, unless you're not sold on him being your quarterback of the future, I really don't get why you wouldn't sign him, even if it's more than you would prefer to pay, because that's just kind of the way that, the economics of these quarterback contracts go is Dak's going to get his money in the long run one way or the other. And we saw that play out with Kirk Cousins just 2 years ago.
Yeah, no question. What are your thoughts about Chris Jones, Kansas City, 4 years, $60 million? I'm not sure about how much of all that is actually guaranteed. And then what the Browns are doing with Myles Garrett, just some NFL notes about that.
Yeah, that's amazing about Chris Jones when you thought, he plays a very unglamorous position. He's not a typical edge rusher. He's more of a inside guy / base defensive end. But you saw the impact that he had. He made one of the biggest plays in the Super Bowl, batting down a pass from Jimmy Garoppolo, and that speaks again. Kansas City has these 2 years on Patrick Mahomes' deal that they can use to offset his costs. And, again, if Patrick Mahomes was set to hit them for $38+ million on this year's cap, I don't think they would have been able to do that. So that's the benefit of doing that business early, is it helps you take care of other guys.
Paul,
what do you think about the Redskins and the name change? And look, it's kind of the end of it's not the end of the rivalry, but the Cowboys and Redskins, as far as a name, that's over now.
Yeah, me personally, I think it's long overdue. I don't make a big deal out of it, but in my career, I've tried my hardest to avoid from saying it. And you can argue about the Chiefs or the Braves or the Indians and the viability of all of that, but I think Washington's name was a couple of steps even further beyond that. So they're still in the division with each other. There's still a long history. And regardless of what they're called, if Washington can ever get it together and string together some winning seasons, the rivalry will be right back where it always was. I don't care what their name is. So I'm fully in support of it. I'm interested to see what name they come up with because, it seems like every other day you hear a report that, they're filing a trademark for one name or the other, and then there's a new report about a new name. So I'm kind of confused about what they're going to go with, but I'm interested to see what it is.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it as always. That's
Thanks,
David
guys.
Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, and a lot of different feedback from you on the Riverbend Liquorman Wine Hotline, also on direct messages and much more. Colin Schillinglaw listening to us in Tyler. He was listening to the Earl Campbell interview. He even said this to me, basically paraphrasing, that he had never really heard much from Earl. He just knew that when he had seen Earl while he was at Baylor, Colin, that when he saw Earl, he always saw that he was struggling. And he was, as we know. And that he's heard from Earl and listened to Earl more in the last, let's say, month or two, and he's blown away by the man that he is because of the fact of what's going on in Tyler with the school changes that will be tomorrow. And I just kind of had a text back and forth with Marty Crawford, former Baylor baseball player who was at West and then now at the superintendent in Tyler, as they do that. And how much do you want? And you, Earl said this. Can you imagine if you're Marty Crawford, the superintendent, Dr. Marty Crawford, superintendent Tyler, wants to talk to Earl about Lee and whatever, and Earl takes the pressure off the situation and immediately.
Yeah, that's great that he has that kind of an impact. And Earl's a very powerful voice there in the city of Tyler, so he does take a little bit of pressure off. I don't know why there should be too much pressure, though. It seems pretty clear-cut. I can read you a paragraph about the person that John Tyler was. Abraham Lincoln did not make a public announcement upon his passing, even though he was a former president. That had never been done before. I don't know how many times it's been done since. That's what they thought of John Tyler at the time of him leaving the presidency, of which he wasn't even elected to. He got it because he was a vice president. President was killed, and he took over. But after John Tyler left the presidency, one of his main missions was he was trying to keep the country together. Now, on the surface, that looks like a great thing. But he was not against slavery. He was just trying to prevent everything from splitting. And eventually, there was not anybody really in favor of that other than him. It was either we're going to go all together, no slavery, or there's a split, and the South is slavery, and he chose the South. And
slavery was more important to him.
Yeah.
One of the worst 1-2 punches in presidential and vice presidential history, when you talk about William Henry Harrison, a guy who died because he wouldn't put a coat on at the inauguration, and then a vice president, who was John Tyler. So
yeah, here's one little thing. A Confederate flag draped Tyler's coffin as it was brought for burial to a Richmond, Virginia cemetery. While bells tolled and flags were lowered To half-staff in the Confederate capital, silence greeted the news of Tyler's death in the country he betrayed. Lincoln did not issue the customary official proclamation to observe Tyler's passing, while the New York Times obituary noted that he had left the presidency as the most unpopular public man that had ever held any office in the United States. So to bash Lee and then to not look in the mirror about John Tyler would be just a tad bit hypocritical.
Well, they are. And the thing is that, someone eventually, people started to listen to it. Because, again, it's easy to point what you don't like, and then all of a sudden, but. And we've discussed that quite a bit.
By the way, we have an update on the 4x1.
Yes.
There's lots of Twitter chatter. We have an
Everyone's
update.
chimed in.
So Tevin Reese tweets, switch me and Lenny Sampson. I'm eating out of the blocks. That's what he says. And Lanier Sampson agrees. He said he was about to treat that. So, yeah.
So this is on your thread, right, Craig?
Yeah. So if we made the changes that are suggested, then, Lake would race RG3 for the 4th spot. And you would have, you would have Tevin Reese as the first leg rather than Lanier, and then Lanier as a third leg rather than Tevin. And then RG3 and Lake can duke it out for the second and the anchor.
This is fun. And again, Robert eliminated 7 to 9 guys. Because of the anchor leg. So does that mean they're all back in play if Lake wins the anchor and Robert's kicked to where's he going to go? It might open up a can of worms. Hey, how many times have you driven down I-35 and there's the bridge over near Baylor where there's a man that's in his robe and he has the 2 sticks?
Yeah, lots of times.
You ever met him?
I have met him. Yes, I have.
Today, I'm at H-E-B, and I am at the butcher area where I'm getting some turkey, some sliced turkey. Virgil Bell, that's who it is. He walks by me, and, of course, this is a beautiful outfit he's wearing. And I was like,
I believe it's called a daisiki.
And it's like we start talking, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm Virgil. I'm the guy on I-35 bridge." And he wasn't like promoting. I was like, man, I've seen him before, and I've driven underneath the bridge when he's over the bridge. And it's like always kind of a for some reason for me, it's kind of a peaceful moment.
Yeah, and they took that bridge down, right?
Yeah, I think that's gone. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it would be now. But Virgil Bell, got a chance to meet him today when I was at HEB. All right. 5:18, when we come back, 5:30, we'll have John McClain. Major League Baseball.com's top 10 starting pitching rotations. Where are the Astros and where are the Rangers, and who are the top 3 or 4? Next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
So it's time for us to have a talk because obviously your buddies aren't telling you and neither is your woman. You've been driving that truck around, exposing your stuff. It's not only embarrassing, it's disgusting. I'm talking about full frontal truck nudity, and it's time for you to do something about it with a grill guard or a front-end replacement bumper from Pickup Outfitters. There are lots of good reasons to get a grill guard, like when Bambi decides to cross the road at the same time you're occupying it. But the best reason is that no one wants to see your junk up in your grill. Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive carries all the major brands of grill guards, including Ranch Hand, Cattleman, and even the Renegade brand made right here in Waco. And every grill guard we sell comes with our lifetime installation guarantee and no-worry warranty program. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check out our grill guards on our website at createacommotion.com/guards. createacommotion.com/guards.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7. And personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna. And now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere. And yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
A couple of notes. We'll have John McClain in the next segment, but you guys were not able to get to in. Craig, you did something earlier this week with Jason, right?
Yeah, I did the true or false.
Okay. Paul, you didn't get a chance to do the pop quiz. All right, I'm going to ask you, you answer me and do it quickly. If I were in charge, my plan for the 2020 football season would be?
Start a month late and just go.
Craig?
I didn't do this one, but
I know, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I would say cancel the non-conference games across the country. For those who have an uneven number, figure it out. Play 9 games, and, for those who play 8, well, you've got a bigger conference, obviously, so go find somebody who has an opening and get it done that way, and that's what I would do.
In the 60s, there were some teams that played only 9 games. There were. I mentioned we're going to do it like we did this radio station and radio show, Fearless, Full Throttle, let's go. Biggest rival for Baylor is just the name of the school.
TCU.
Yeah, everyone said that. Coolest piece of sports memorabilia you own?
I've got a Tom Landry autographed football downstairs.
Okay.
Probably the Earl autographed football, I guess.
Yeah. Mine is the Navy Midshipman Heisman Trophy winners shadow box that I gave my father with Joe Bellino and Staubach both in their uniforms, their regular Naval Academy uniforms, and in action, and their autographs as well that's been authenticated. Favorite healthy snack, if there is one?
Blueberries.
Ooh, I like blueberries too. Fruit. Pineapple, though. I'd go pineapple.
Yeah.
Oh, no, hold on. My favorite healthy snack, mainly because it doesn't taste all that healthy.
Blueberries don't taste healthy.
Okay.
They're like,
they get bitter, aren't they? Yeah, they're like
a little candy.
All right, now, the top 10 starting rotations in baseball according to MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Number 10, St. Louis. Number 9, the Astros. Boy, they've dropped because of the loss of Garrett Cole. Mets at 8, Rangers at 7.
Yeah.
Yankees at 6, Dodgers at 5, Cleveland, despite losing Corey Kluber, right?
Yeah.
At 4, Cincinnati at 3.
That's a surprise.
Tampa Bay 2. And the Washington Nationals, the World Series defending World Series champions at 1.
Did you say the Astros?
Astros were 9.
Okay.
Rangers were 7.
Have a better staff on paper than the Astros.
Imagine,
I got to look at the Reds rotation. I'm sorry, hold on.
But yeah, that's surprising. I mean, you lose Garrett Cole, so I mean that's obviously a big one. But you still have some studs. But I think that just speaks not so much of the Astros; they're fine, but just speaks to some of the improvements on paper again that the Rangers have actually addressed during this offseason in the last couple of years with, I guess going back even further, though, when you talk about Mike Minor. But, yeah, I mean, I like again, on paper, what they have. Them going out and doing it's a completely different matter.
Minor, Lynn, you add Kluber.
I'm not a baseball writer, but I would say that Cleveland and Cincinnati are both a little high, and that Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo, Trevor Bauer, Wade Miley, Anthony DeScafini are on the Reds, and then the Indians is Mike.
You're saying DeScafini, an Italian, is not a part of one of the best staffs?
I mean,
What's
they're
happening?
fine, but they're not. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't put them up there, especially with Trevor Bauer gone from the Indians and Corey Kluber gone. I wouldn't put them up as high as that person has.
Well, that says quite a bit that they let those guys walk, right? Or they traded them, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But Trevor Bauer is in Cincinnati not because of his ability.
So who was the
because of
lefty
his
that the
mouth.
Astros had that eventually he left that was so good 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and they won it all? Didn't he test free agency?
Dallas Keuchel?
Dallas Keuchel.
He's with the Braves.
He's with the Braves, so he's been off of that Astros rotation.
Or maybe he's with the White Sox.
And now you have Garrett Cole gone. They've lost, now they got some youngins too. But the Rangers 7th, according to MajorLeagueBaseball.com.
Dallas Keuchel's with the White Sox.
Yeah, he's with the White
So
Sox.
you have Lance Lynn, you have Kluber, and you also have Minor, and who else, Paul? The Rangers rotation.
They have Jordan Lyles and Kluber, Minor, Lynn, Kyle Gibson.
Kyle Gibson. Okay,
Yeah.
he's the guy we had on the show. How could I forget him?
Yeah.
That was terrible of me. All right, so that's one of the things. So on Sikkim365.com, the premium section, today's pop quiz, is that what it's called, the pop quiz?
Mm-hmm.
How would, if you were in charge, think about this, and if you want to send us some responses on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line or 254-339-1122. If you were in charge, my plan for the 2020 football season would be Baylor's biggest rival. And they mentioned TCU, A&M, Tech, and Oklahoma, et cetera. Texas was not in that because Texas doesn't look at Baylor or anyone pretty much except maybe Oklahoma as a rival.
I would say that was the problem with saying that A&M is their biggest rival.
Not anymore.
Well, A&M never was. And it's not because they didn't. I mean, in most sports other than football, there were always, good matchups. But
it doesn't mean because your opponent doesn't think you're a rival.
I always
that
think
you're not a rival.
I think it has to go both ways.
So
I
you
think
mean to tell me A&M and Texas, because we've heard them,
Well, they're not that's such a silly situation. But I'm saying
TCU unanimous.
But rivalry is like a relationship. If I'm dating someone and she says she's my girlfriend and I say no, she's not, then we're not in the same relationship.
No, then you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And you have people who camp out behind.
Yeah. So,
all right, the coolest piece of sports memorabilia you own, and the first section you do when you pick up Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine each year is what?
I usually look at the district of the team I'm covering.
Okay.
I don't care so much about the features. Those really don't. I mean, they're great for what they are, but that's not why I get the magazine. I don't care about the long story about the cover guy or whoever. I just look at the district stuff, the high school changes, and it's the high school stuff and not so much all of the other things they put in there now.
I usually go to the college previews though. I just like to go through that and see what they say. That's usually where I go first.
See, to me, those are something we probably have already read about.
That's the thing is, like,
times.
I don't need to read about Baylor because there's no way the person that wrote that knows more than I already know about them. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in that cocky way. It's just true.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's too many that do.
I think part of the reason I do that is usually it's because we're about to vote for some preseason teams,
All right.
and I need the reference point because while I can tell you every wide receiver and defensive line, like I can go those guys. When you tell me who's the second best guard I've got to write down, I'm going to have to look. I don't know who's graduated and not.
You know what I do? I go to last year's all Big 12 team and look at the underclassmen who are coming back. That doesn't mean they automatically get put in.
Yeah.
All right, 5:30, John McClain on some of the NFL signings this week, tomorrow the franchise tag, and much more. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Erie Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and Best in Metal, Steel, and Pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. 5:34 in a day when we've had Graham Harrell, Earl Campbell, Robert Griffin III, Phil Steele, and David Hellman. And now we have our anchor relay with John McClain, Hall of Fame writer for the Houston Chronicle. John, the Chiefs with Chris Jones, Cleveland with Myles Garrett. The day before the franchise tag, I guess, becomes official, or I guess no longer able to do anything. Your thoughts about what Kansas City's been able to do with Mahomes and Chris Jones?
The Chiefs have had the best offseason I can remember for a defending Super Bowl team. Usually the Super Bowl teams lose players because they win their ring and then they want to get paid. The Chiefs will have 20 of 22 starters and returning, coaching staff returning. So they have the best player in the game in Patrick Mahomes, and they should be favored to become the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the Patriots in 2001, 2002.
John, how do you feel about the league and how they're progressing with coronavirus protocols? We just had RG3 on, and he was, I wouldn't say he was in any way optimistic about, what they're hearing from the league right now.
They should delay the start of training camp. I wrote a column about this late last week. It's ridiculous to think the Texans and Chiefs rookies are reporting this weekend. They play the first game on September 10th. I believe, and a lot of people believe, they should delay the start of regular season. And they still have so many things to hammer out that they've yet to do, including roster size for camp, number of preseason games, practice. How do you practice? What do you do about positive tests? One of the things they do, they're paying millions to get a private company to test them and get results immediately, like 24 hours. The Astros continue to have problems with tests. They keep having to hold out players who are not getting their results back quick enough to get on the field. I don't know why if the NFL is going to have on-site testing by a private company that's going to cost millions to like get tested Saturday night so you can get the results Sunday morning to practice during training camp. That should be the way it is with everybody. But I know the Astros keep having guys test positive, and then they have guys that are held out just because they don't get their results back. And I can't imagine what kind of chaos this is going to create when the season begins next week.
Speaking of chaos, John, college football is very much in limbo right now. I mean, one thing we know is that, some are still saying they're going to try to start regularly, but others have already said, hey, we're not going to play basically the first month, which is the non-conference games. There's talk of a spring season. And knowing right now that we don't know anything that's going to happen, let's just say college football had a spring season. What effect, if any, does that have on the NFL?
Well, it wouldn't have any on the NFL. The NFL's 800-pound gorilla. Sits where it wants to sit whenever it wants to sit. But I think what you might have is players not playing because they don't want to risk being hurt before the draft. In the old days, and this is as late as the 60s, the draft was during the season. And people may find that hard to believe today, but it was. So if the draft is in the first week of May and they're playing football, I think a lot of guys might opt out of playing so they could go into the draft and then go into the NFL immediately. But to me, it's better than nothing. I think delaying and not playing non-conference games is a step in the right direction. You want to have it if at all possible. I've seen some things on the internet today that were positive about some treatments for the COVID-19. So the longer you wait, the better chance you have of playing and finding maybe not a cure, but make you less susceptible to getting it. And so they're working on it around the clock, of course, all over the world. And everybody wants football to be able to play. I'm also worried about the other sports besides football, especially I don't know, the lesser sports that Stanford already gave up, that affecting every college in the country.
John, do you think the NFL could sequester themselves like the NBA is doing in their own city and basically just do facility, to the stadium, to the hotel, and to wherever they're going to play?
No, because you would have to be in a so-called bubble like they're in the NBA. The NBA is the only one that can do that because they have so few players compared to football. And baseball has more than the NBA, but a lot less than football. So it would be impossible. And I noticed the story today on the internet. They've got a snitch line in Orlando for people to turn players in for violating the protocols for COVID-19. And there's a story that it's causing an issue because players are already doing that. But young guys, especially, that think they're immune, we see violations at NFL offensive line masterminds summit at Frisco this past weekend where they weren't wearing masks. They weren't practicing social distancing, and some doctor in a hazmat suit is pricking the fingers and giving them immediate results when every expert will tell you that is not a good way to do it, to guarantee that you don't have it. And a lot of players, especially the single ones, they just don't care.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are guys that have who was the player yesterday? The story came out in the NBA that just kind of walked across the street to go he picked something up as a delivery or whatever.
Yeah, well, one of the players had said on Twitter, like a moron, that, hey, I know the food's not great, but you can go out of the front door and get like Postmates or whatever. And then somebody actually did that. And then he goes, oh, never mind, because that guy obviously got.
Yeah, these guys, with all due respect, there's some great human beings in all these professional leagues. A lot of them are fantastic, but they're as pampered as you could possibly get. They don't they're not going to always be able to listen because they've never been really told no. John, is that possible?
Well, they're told in no uncertain terms what they can and cannot do. They're told every day, but sometimes people are just going to do it. Like at that offensive line thing in Frisco, I guess they think, okay, we're not going to get it, but if we do, we'll just treat it like anything else. We'll get over it and then we'll play. The problem is they might get over it, and they probably will, but then they could be affecting other people, including family members. And that's why some of them, the linemen are supposed to be the smartest of any position next to a quarterback, and a lot of them look really stupid when they're taking off. They're not using masks, and they're having chicken wing eating contests, and they're all over each other at a time when everybody has told them you have to wear a mask and you have to social distance, and they just flaunt it.
Paul, Craig, anything else? John, thank you very much, man. Always great to have you on the show.
Guys. Thank you.
That's the way. That's our anchor relay right there. We opened up with the young offensive coordinator who's in his, 30s? In Graham Harrell.
He's 35.
The only thing we ran out of time, and we asked him a lot of things, and thank you for Earl today, and of course RG3 among others, but I had one more question to Graham Harrell that I'd love to ask, and that was that he played with the Packers when Mike McCarthy was the head coach.
Yeah, he mentioned about, he brought him up briefly.
Yeah.
And when I asked him about all the coaches he's been around. And you know what one we left out? And this is an influence on his dad. His dad worked for Gordon Wood.
Yeah, at Brownwood. That's where he was born. He was actually born in Brownwood, yeah. His dad, Sam Harrell, we had his father on back when he was starting that stem cell treatment. It's an amazing story. It's an incredible story. There's a picture of Baylor football back at it. There's players, coaches, some wearing long-sleeve shirts, which I've done a couple of different times this summer while working out, which is always once you think that, man, that'd be great. Get sweat all over you instead of dripping everywhere, and then all of a sudden you realize, why the hell am I wearing a long-sleeve shirt? And all of them with various logo masks as they're working out, as they get back to work. And this is the week that they all can get an hour with a coach as far as some instruction. I'm not sure exactly how that works out, but Cole Barber mentioned that earlier today as well. We a couple other notes to wrap up this day. Two Heisman Trophy winners, Paul, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, an elite coordinator at a blue blood college program, one of the best, most popular college football magazine editors, and greatness of David Hellman and John McClain. Sikkim 365 Radio.
Summertime means vacation time, and when you hit the road, do it in the vehicle of summer. Jeep. At Allen Samuels, it's our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Get employee pricing on brand new 2020 Jeep Gladiator Sport Editions, plus an additional $1,500 in retail bonus cash. And ask about 0% and no payments for 90 days on other Jeep models. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right. 547, Sikkim 365 Radio. Got a quote or two from Charles Barkley on the NBA social justice efforts. I put this one out. This is usually kind of not one of my deals. The stories about guys who sign or teams who, players who are, by the way, Washington's already lost, Paul. Part of their depth chart at wide receiver, Harmon, kid from NC State, pretty good player, 30 catches, 370, 80, 90 yards. Handful of touchdowns towards ACL. That's the red. Here we are.
Yeah, well, there you go.
They can't even get the mascot right, much less keep anybody healthy. They really, would you not agree that they have had more, yes, I'm whining, but they have had more
their injuries.
Destructive injuries.
Yeah,
and Jordan Reed wants to come back and play. Of course he does.
For the Redskins?
No, he wants to come back.
Anyone?
What? And he'll end up with a huge year.
I understand that most people who go to the University of Florida have head injuries anyway, but he's had way too many. He's had way too many.
God. Opening day 2 weeks away. Baseball umpires, Major League Baseball umpires, are weighing the season's risks during the coronavirus pandemic. 11 Major League umpires have already exercised their right to opt out or not decide to participate during the 2020 season. Some of the umpires are said to have family members who are ill. Major League Baseball typically uses 19 crews with 76 umpires, 4 in each crew, during a season, meaning the league could lose 15% of the umpiring crew. Right now, the list is at 90, but 11 have said they're not going to be a part of the season. You wonder, with Major League or Minor League Baseball canceled for the year, there's probably a few down in the minor leagues that are really good, that are ready to make the jump. So Major League Baseball was working on an opt-out option with pay for higher-risk individuals and umpire crews. And some of those guys are a little bit older.
Well, the umpire union's pretty strong. They're pretty strong. I mean, they had their strike or whatever a couple years ago.
Yeah, they're not as strong as the players.
No.
So David Price, Ryan Zimmerman, and Buster Posey are the biggest names so far when it comes to the players opting out. We mentioned Charlie Brewer is on the list of the Davey O'Brien, the preseason list. Davey O'Brien tomorrow. The Blitnikoff Award comes out. Today, as we mentioned, coaches and players could work out college football. So that's that. Charles Barkley. He was asked about the racial injustice issues in the, he called it a circus. Here's his quote. "What's happening right now is we're turning this into a circus. Instead of talking about racial equality, racial justice, economic justice, we're spending time worrying about who's kneeling, who's not, what things are being said on buses, what's being said on jerseys. I think we're missing the point. We need police reform, prison reform. Those are the number one and number two things to focus on. We need the cops, the good cops out there policing bad cops. When we spend time focusing on the jersey, that's going to defeat the purpose. My concern is that this is turning into a circus instead of trying to do something good. So, sports, I'll never forget Marcus Spears said this to me, and I had a listener who used to listen all the time, say, that's going to end badly. Marcus Spears, many years ago when we had him on the show, this is before Kaepernick. Said, athletes could walk into a locker room and everything disappears. Mm-hmm. You walk into the clubhouse of the locker room and all of your differences end. And a month later, you had Colin Kaepernick and the story of what he began to do. And everything seemed to flip.
Yeah, I don't think that issue affected locker rooms all that much. It affected fans more than it affected locker rooms. Because for the most part, locker rooms, I think, are locked. I think the only one that had a real issue was the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin made a huge misstep with Villanueva, the offensive lineman who's a veteran, and they kind of hung him out to dry when he went out. Like, everybody else stayed in the locker room, and he went out. And it just, the way it worked, it wasn't like Mike Tomlin didn't handle it the best way. But otherwise, I think locker rooms are pretty much all in agreement.
I mean, I think, you had guys like Nate Boyer and others who gave their reasons for why they stood for the national anthem, but supporting their teammates who decided to kneel. And, I think you're probably more right than wrong at all as far as it not having too much of an effect on the locker room. But clearly there were some things that weren't said in the locker room, even in the comfort and peace of that some players held back, and now they feel like they can freely say it a bit more. I think Charles is right to an extent. I've kept track of the news. I don't talk about the news all the time, but I do keep myself informed, and not through social media, because I'm telling you people right now, do not make social media your main news source, because half the stuff you're putting in your brain is false. It is not even true. It is people with big prejudices or angles that they're wanting to take that are trying to, nefariously influence people with false information. So read actual news for your actual news, and don't rely on somebody with a blue check mark on Twitter. That's just the one thing I heavily encourage you to do, because there's just a lot of bad info out there. But it has turned into a circus in some ways. I was watching video last night in Portland. They're still protesting. I was borderline. It's protesting in Portland. It's never ending there, quite frankly. And last night there was a building they wanted to overtake, and the police were finally just getting fed up. They were like, "You're not taking this building." And I don't know that I saw a single black person out there. It was all white kids with pink hair and big what do you call the gauge earring? It was like what do you think of Portland kids, I guess? And that's who it was. And that's not Black Lives Matter. That's not what the point of racial unrest and injustice is. These are just a bunch of punk-ass kids who have nothing better to do that are making the whole movement have more of a negative tone, because they've basically hijacked it for their own selfish reasons, and they're the ones that people focus on. The people who aren't doing things for the right reasons, that's where you give the other side the ammunition, and then they come back, and then the whole point ends up getting lost in translation, right? So I think Charles is right. There are parts of this that has become a circus. I thought when the NBA decided to put the statements on the jerseys and whatnot, I just felt like, man, is that, I don't know, like, it kind of seems like a good idea, and then it kind of just seems like overkill in a way. But then again, I get it, because that's a message that the players are delivering personally. I don't know. It is a circus. I will agree with him on that, and he is absolutely right that we do need to focus on the actual issues at hand and not trying to rewrite history from 400 years ago. I mean, I'm sorry, but tearing down statues doesn't change the way police treat people sometimes. Tearing down buildings, setting them on fire, ripping up the flags, doing all that doesn't change a effing thing about what the actual issues are. And I'm sorry, but it's a lot of bad people that are making the actual movement and the cause and the good stuff that we can do get hijacked and sidetracked because they just want to see chaos and they want to just, disrupt the system or whatever. And he's absolutely right on that point. And I think there are some athletes as well that, have contributed to that. I am by no means a shut up and dribble guy, but I also know that there are people out there that would prefer for just politics to stay out of it every once in a while. So, who knows where we're headed, but politics isn't going away anytime soon.
No, it's not. And but when you are trying to focus on changing for the better, when you do something to look at me or you do it because you want someone to pat you in the back, you're actually hurting whatever cause you're in.
Let me tell you, with all these white kids in Portland last night, they were absolutely goading the police to get arrested so that they could go on Instagram or Twitter and say, hey, I got arrested because I was there's actually people with that mentality that are a part of these groups that are protesting. They're doing it for clout. Yeah. And they were in these police officers' faces basically begging for them to arrest them because they wanted to get arrested. And it was sad, man. It was a really sad scene, and it didn't change a dadgum thing about where we are as a country.
No.
Tomorrow we have Mo Porter, Dan Lust, the sports law attorney, Neil Searcy, head coach at Killeen High School, Jason King, John Machota. Maybe we'll have someone else drop in. And then again, as we have said, Olympian and former record holder Michael Johnson, a great businessman, entrepreneur. He'll join us on Thursday's show as well. All right, Paul. Graham Harrell, Earl Campbell.
Yep.
Phil Steele.
Yep.
Robert Griffin III.
Yep.
David Hellman. John McClain. Is that today?
Yep.
Man, we got some heavy duty stuff going today.
And we'll replay Earl. We might have to replay RG3 at some point too, because it was all great.
We might do either one of them, either Thursday or Friday, one or the other. But when we've had some of those as well.
I'll leave you with some positive news. John McClain referred to it, the COVID-19 vaccine that we're all so hopeful for.